Okay, so I'd like to call the, we're gonna just sit there. Call the Board of Trustees special meeting, budget to order. If we could all stand. Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Sean. And everybody else? All right, roll call.
Maloney,
Here.
Cronin,
Here.
Ermeling, here, Pincinel,
Present.
Wyland, here, Zagami.
Here. Okay, any public comments? Anybody online? Public comments for budget?
This is both budget workshop and regular board
Oh,
meeting.
okay,
Budget
cool.
workshop and regular board.
Okay.
meeting. So it would be public comments for the entire agenda.
Okay, so I have something to be read in from Kyle Bender, 5007 Prairie Street, Weston. I was having a talk with a few residents about the new assessments on property value. Plainly stated, taxes shouldn't rise every time the city wants.
We read this last meeting. I'm sorry.
Which meeting did we read that at?
The one, the last one, the one on the 7th. We did.
Unless this is a different comment, I do remember this being
No.
read in.
So why am I reading again?
I would defer that to the president.
But this is a 23.
Yeah, I thought I got that before this meeting.
No.
Who handed this to me?
Me.
I know you're excited about elections, but we read this already in a meeting ago.
I heard
We can read it again if you like, but we
Yeah.
can read this one.
Yeah. So, or were you giving it to the other Maloney?
Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't
Yeah,
get it
Mahoney or
out. I don't know what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Okay,
Let's give
so-
it to the new guy.
So done?
Or gal.
Yeah, well, you caught me. I get it. Yeah, let's just see if he remembers. Okay, so, back to public comment, hearing none. Let's move on to the budget workshop. Unfinished business, discussion and or action on benefits renewal.
So items 4 through 7 are gonna kind of flow together.
Mhm.
You did get presented in the packet, the summary of all funds and the detail of all funds.
Yep.
Tonight, we are putting forth a balanced budget that does reflect the increase that we've been talking about in the benefits renewal. But it does, we have balanced the budget. But it is approximately a 23 to 24% increase in health insurance costs this year. The variance is that we do still offer the traditional and the HSA, and there was a difference between the traditional and the HSA, but we have about half and half on both.
Okay, so just a little hindsight, in the past years, we've experienced, really hardly anything increases. And I wish I would have asked this question, what our increases were like the last 3 years? Because other municipalities and other agencies were experiencing some increases. Yet I thought we had a 0 or close to a 0 1 year. So I don't know if you could actually say that out loud, like the last 3 years. But even, so,
Last year was our largest one.
which was
To this year, I think it was 10% last year.
10, I thought it was 9, okay. So 9 or 10, and then,
Last year, and then prior to that was not above.
yeah, it was like 2 in a
Since
row.
we've joined the co-op, it has not been above.
Yeah, so the co-op has been, I believe, a huge savings when we've compared it to other municipalities and other groups. I know it ain't the greatest thing to do is to look at something when you have a 23-24% increase. But sometimes if you cost average it over the last 3 or 4 years, it maybe makes a little more sense. Is it right that it's 23-24? But if you look at a lot of the insurances right now, across the board, I know my personal auto and home and stuff just skyrocket right out of the, and it's like, they don't even have an answer. They just say, well, mine went up too. Oh, okay. So, anyway, go ahead, Jim.
So
Mhm.
during the last meeting of tourism, there was some talk of some other things on the Wausau City Council agenda. And so I wasn't even researching this because of that. I was looking for this other city council outfit.
Yeah.
Which I never found. But they're doing budget right now too, because 'tis the season, right? Their health insurance increase is 2.6%.
Who is that?
The city of Wausau.
Okay.
Those guys are up there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they've signed a contract with that same outfit for a not to exceed a 9.6% increase for 26.
What do you mean by same outfit?
Whoever their broker or what, it's in their packet. I don't, you can pull it up. I don't understand insurance shopping enough to know how exactly they got to that. Pull up or if they're what they are, but
I have never heard of getting a guarantee on not to exceed for next year. I mean, you have,
The co-op actually has a guarantee with Security Health.
what was our guarantee this year?
Or- I think that may have expired, but I think they are looking at renewing that relationship with them. But in the past, we did have one. I just want to say that that's one of the reasons that kept our rates really low. And when we're talking about going shopping for insurance, Corey did share with us that even if we went to the Affordable Care Act, which is out on the market, our rate increase would be higher than what we saw. I think that just really goes back to show how the increases we received with the co-op in the past few years, the 0% and 2% was really abnormal and it kept our rates so low. So when we did get this huge jump, it really was a shock to everybody. But I think it's really getting us up to where everybody else is.
Okay.
I mean, you're saying that, but what we need to see is City of Wausau, what are you paying for your employees? I don't know if that was in the packet,
it is.
but that's something to look at instead of just their increases.
So I would suggest we pull it up and let's look at it, because you've seen our contract, you know what it looks like, and you can tell us if this is apples to oranges. No produce pun intended.
None taken. Mhm.
I think it's in their common council, it's coming 22nd, maybe tomorrow.
Hold on, we have to have- on the left-hand side.
Have it.
On the left, I'm sorry. Right there, agenda packet. Then you click on available minutes. Go back up. Click on available minutes and agendas.
Most of the way down. I'll see if I can find a page while you're doing that.
Mhm.
Is there something that we as a village missed for that, for getting that guarantee locked back in, or is that something the co-op has to handle?
I'm not sure what happened with Spectrum. It could have been where we would have got that up to a certain percentage. I think what they looked at is it was at 120% climbing. I think in the past, if we kept it to 110%, they kept it at. But with the high usage right now at over 120% and climbing, that negated that frozen rate that we had. That's something we could ask Corey more, but that was the situation in the past.
Trustee Pincinel, is there even a specific page of their packet?
I'm looking through it right now, same as you. You don't have attractive hyperlinks like we do. So I found in their finance packet. Also tomorrow. I know it's in the other one too. I saw it sitting right over there an hour and a half ago, but on the finance packet, I can tell you the page number. Is page 19 of 23. It's called
Scroll by it.
Joint Finance Committee and Human Resources Committee. I just want to. They have a similar thing like us where it had agendas and minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to agendas.
There we go. And the joint finance 10/22, 5:15 PM. It was that last page.
Joint review.
No, I think if you go back to the last page, it was, they had a link to it right on that
Yeah.
committee.
Otherwise, it's page 180, I think, of their
Standing committees.
found it, nice. Yeah, it's like the last page.
Finance committee.
This is very hard. I'm used to having to switch her to the television. When you don't have to switch her, it's pretty tough.
Switcher.
That's what I call it. It's a remote, I get it.
But page 19 shows the plan for.
There you go. And it's fire. We don't know when they got on with this, do we? They don't share that, do they?
No, I don't believe that they do.
No. Hmm?
We'd have to talk to them further. I'm not sure if they, without reading their packet, if they have the choice or if they selected one of these three.
It says they, on the next page down, in
Yeah.
the memo that they changed vendors from Security Health to Aspires.
Oh, okay.
So you can look at the Aspires column.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, and that's a restricted. That's who all you go to. You don't replace.
And they're at 2080.
Everything else is on.
Are they at 2080?
It's 12% employee.
12%? Where do you see that?
It's in the memo on the next page.
Oh, okay.
Mammals are
In the background.
Exact comparative. This is last year's.
Oh, it's just at the very top of that right now. If you scroll up a little bit, whoever's got control,
There it is.
that paragraph right there.
And then just.
Yeah.
That's for 2024.
Said he would change vendors from Security Health Plan to Aspires with a maximum guaranteed renewal of 9.5% for 26.
26, yeah.
But again, that's for 2024.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how that works. To prevent another situation this year.
Who's got a bad, usage?
No.
So the usage in-house or the usage is?
It's the co-op.
You said the co-op.
But
No.
they took us up separately too. Us separately was over 100%.
Yes.
And I believe as a co-op, Aspirus declined to propose, so that wasn't separately us.
No, no, as a co-op, Aspirus did come back and they were 24% above the current on the Freedom Network, which is more of the broader one. So if you have the plan with Security Health that you could either go to Marshfield or Aspirus, the increase we saw with the traditional plan was 24%. Aspirus met that with a 24% increase over our current rates. So they were about the same. But they did not have a rate guarantee. So that's what we're talking about. There was no rate guarantee. They did not offer that for the co-op. Probably because of the extreme high usage that we are seeing right now.
But now I know the co-op had a high usage, but Village itself had a high
We
usage.
had over 100.
So it's hard to shop when you got a high usage.
Yes.
Because we did ask the question if we went out on our own, because we could, if we wanted to, we could leave the co-op.
Mhm. But I mean, if we had a lower usage, it would be a good time to do it, but when we got a high
Not when you're high.
usage,
No.
you know, it doesn't.
Okay.
I think just having Corey and doing that, reaching out and seeing if the Affordable Care Act, because it is supposed to be affordable. I mean, that's the Affordable Care Act. And they were not cheaper for the village to switch to that, so.
Okay.
So I have a question, because I believe my motion at the last meeting was to approve the compensation increases and the merit market reserve contingent on the benefits coming in at 12%, which they didn't. So I guess where did we, how many dollars is that, and where did we pull that from?
Do you want to take that question?
Where did we pull it from?
Correct.
How did I balance it? I
Yes.
went to a few revenue accounts and I adjusted our interest income and our one other. Yes.
The other pieces, do you remember when we talked about that, the conversation about safer and that we would either go out to borrow or that we might use fund balance if that meant we would qualify for expenditure restraint. Jess is gonna correct me if I jumble this a little bit, but we would qualify for expenditure restraint next year if we utilize that fund balance. So safer got moved back and we won't do that borrowing for it, but then applied fund balance within the budget for this year. So we could qualify for expenditure restraint, which was additional revenue then that we would receive.
So how much increases there?
The total, so Safer's budget came in, they did at the lesser number. I know Chief Finke was talking about the two numbers that they had. They did come in at the lesser number, so I believe our increase with them was like 70,000.
74 or something, yeah.
Yes,
We
105,
cut-
70 plus their insurance
We
for
cut a
105.
part-time position.
Yeah, we cut a part-time position.
So I did prepare a quick memo, which I never got sent out, but the major items in this budget are a 24% increase in the health insurance, a 3% across the board for staff and wages, a reduction of the salt budget and a fuel budget, and an applied budget surplus of 105, which mirrors the increase for safer. So that's what you are seeing in there. With the shifting of some of the employees' wages to the utilities to reflect a better accuracy of where our wages and our time is spent, that did allow us to get that budget balanced. We kept talking about the percentages, but with like some employees changed from family to employee spouse. So there's always switches in health insurance. It's not where I tell you a number and it's gonna stay that way. So that's part of the things that we did to get that to balance, which we had that, last time we brought it to you, I think there was a surplus. It wasn't quite, we weren't ready to say it was final, but we did have excess revenues over expenditures last time we came.
Jim?
Can we break this down into like real numbers we can see, right? So I think the 3% staff raise, was it $77,000,
Do you want it 3% over last year's budget or 3% of what we're looking at right now? Because see, those are two different numbers. A lot of times we're like, well, what did we budget last year? What's your increase? Well, last year we, in our budgeted wage numbers, we didn't have all the merit increases to each employee. And once we gave out those merit increases, well, some went to utilities, some stayed on the general fund. So we're talking about a 3% increase. What are we looking at?
So I'm glad to know that you're as confused as we are on this, as far as knowing exactly what this increase is. So
No, the 3% would be on current.
Well,
Not,
what
not
we-
on last raises, but it would
Yes.
include the merit raises and everything else. So it would be off of the current wages.
Yes.
Okay.
okay, so that number, and then, so what's that chunk? And then I think the merit number was 15,000, right?
We have set aside 15,000.
Sure, whatever is in your current budget right now, because this stuff isn't, it's not redlined, it's not changed. All we see is a bunch of different spreadsheets that, I don't know, from the last one to this one, where this number change. I don't know. And then, so break those two pieces out, and then the insurance was originally broken down, I think it was at 11%, right, or 12%. And now if we're at 23 or 24%, what is that new number, right? Was it 80,000 and now it's 160,000, or what is that number?
And just on top of that, if we're balanced, did we balance with 4, 5, and 6?
We are balanced with 4, 5, and 6, yes.
6, okay, just want to know. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess now, I know there was a couple things you talked about that you did for balancing the budget. My question is kind of focused with Michael. If you cut the salt budget, because I know we've got more salt because of the
Excess.
mild winter last year. But what if we get a nasty one? And you cut the salt budget?
Yeah, I guess I looked at historic, like kind of our last 3 to 4 years. The number we've been using for the last several years was based on the worst winter we've had. I forget if that was 2017, 2018. And that was the highest number we ever used. And we've had meetings where, we've talked about, do we over budget historically? And that's, maybe the thought process is we should be budgeting for what we traditionally spend a year and maybe not what that worst. If we have one bad year every 10 years, that's what our fund balance probably should be to cover that bad year versus budgeting for the worst case scenario every year and then finding that, okay, now we've got surplus and.
I think many years ago, we actually had cut it. And then we had one of
Well,
those
you get caught.
nasty
Yeah,
ones
caught.
and we had, and we were short. I mean,
The shed is also full, like we couldn't
Yeah.
even take any more salt if
Yeah,
it's
so
full.
budgeting forward,
okay, but I know that was
We're in
my,
good shape this
my
year.
thought was,
Yeah.
if you're cutting something that you're made for maintenance, what's your backup plan,
Mhm.
But okay. All right, no problem.
And this also includes commission and committee and meetings increases.
It includes the increases that were approved at the last meeting.
Okay,
yes.
all right. And the last meeting I attended with HR, they kind of had some caution about the merit market reserve on how that would be applied. And if that stayed in there, would we be confident that we would be able to apply that to staff, to employees? They just had a little red flag on that, are we, you gotta be very careful on how you do that. So, okay. And if we did move the 15,000 through on the merit market, when would that be applied for? When would that be used?
So
Because the increases would start in the first.
the first full payroll in January, so not the first, but the first full payroll in
Mhm.
January. And then merit and market, all of the staff would go through their annual evaluations. After evaluations would be completed, we have a separate merit market form. So directors would have to determine if a merit or a market was necessary for a staff member, they'd have to complete the form. Those would be compared to their evaluation, to their ranking for their evaluation, and then brought forth to the HR committee and to the board.
In the past, so did we have things called a merit increase, Jessica, or bonus? Because I remember we had bonuses attached to overtime on an election. And
It was during COVID.
I was, yeah, okay, maybe that was during COVID, okay. I mean, because
I
this has
think
gotta
I
be,
guess I don't.
this has gotta be pretty heavily, this has gotta stand up. If we're gonna do that kind of, a merit increase, something that not everyone will have or achieve. So, I'm sorry, Jessica?
So
you were
I was
just
gonna go back to, so I have a lump sum number, so the change from I'll give you two different numbers. So the change for wages and benefits, wages and fringes from the 2024 budget to the 2025 budget for general fund only is $147,711.80.
Okay.
The change from the 2025 budget from the 2024 estimate, which includes
Mhm.
new health insurance changes in personnel, is $173,808.
Okay, I was writing this down, forgot what I was thinking of. Go ahead, I forgot.
Okay, Jim?
So if we go to the packet on page 12, there's a number listed of 227,552. Get it right back in here.
Page 12, okay, I'll go back to.
I'm sorry, trustee.
11.
I'm sorry, 11.
Okay.
So this is 23 versus 24 general fund increase,
25 to,
or 24 to 25?
yeah.
So is that representative? So out of that, you peel the 173? So there was round
I
numbers?
would do, no, that one, because that's, 173 was the estimate to budget. The other number I gave you, which was 147, that's budget to budget. From the 24 budget to the 25 budget for Fund 10 is 147,711.
Okay, so we'll do it a different way then. So in 147,000, we'll use 150 for easy math, right? $150,000 impact to the general fund.
Mhm.
What does that look like to a taxpayer with a $100,000 home? If we're,
That I don't know. We have no final assessment numbers yet.
let's base it off a 2024 rate instead of a 25 rate. Or whatever the last tax bill was, 23. I know it's always a year behind. What I wanna know is, okay, if we're gonna spend another $150,000 on this stuff, what does that look like if I have a $100,000 home? And then you just do the math if you have a $500,000 home, where we got. Is this a $10 impact to every taxpayer, or is this a $100 impact to every taxpayer so that everybody can get raised?
I can work on that next.
But it's also not,
It's not comparing apples to apples.
but it's also not a total levy increase because there's other revenue in there.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, if this wasn't there and you didn't have to increase levy, right, you could peel all that back and have no increase. There was no change here.
My general fund allowable levy increase is $40,000.
Yeah. With our net new construction, that's the increase across the entire village is the $40,000, because personal property comes out this year. So we're only increasing the levy, the 40.
By 40.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but this goes into other pockets or buckets or however you wanna look at it, like. Break this down, what does this look like to me as a taxpayer with a $100,000 home?
So take $40,000 and divide it out by, let's say, 15,000 homes.
Actually,
And that's your number.
Increase if you're gonna look at last year's.
How are you only moving it by $40,000?
I
Like,
can only increase my levy $40,000 per the tax levy limit
I
worksheet.
understand that, so where did the rest of this money come from then?
It came from additional revenues through fees and interest,
Transportation aids.
transportation aids. We got, intergovernmental revenues for the, personal property tax, because the state took that ability to levy that away, they gave us funds for that of like $50,000.
Building permits, citations.
And the position that we cut, part-time position at Safer, correct?
Well, Safer doesn't, we don't actually get, that's not a revenue source,
Correct.
so that wouldn't be a word. But there was less revenue. We had originally budgeted for about 170 to go there and ended up at 105 increase.
We're talking about taxes now. I'm gonna point that out right away. So property taxes, it shows that it's going up $135,000. The reason why it's going up 135 and not the 40 I told you is because the amount that we used to levy in Fund 44, because we got $93,000 from the Village of Rothschild, we are no longer getting the 93,000 from the Village of Rothschild. So the amount that I levied in Fund 44 is now shifting back to Fund 10. So that's why it shows that there's an increase there, but you'll also show that there is a decrease of, it's that 15.18% where there's a decrease of $99,000. That goes, the 93 came out of that line.
And that's the end of the agreement for the power plant.
Power plant.
Probably. So are we discussing the budget as a whole? Or do you want to knock one of these, 4 off by itself, 5 off by itself, and 6 off by itself?
So the last motion that was made, trustee Cronin's
Right.
motion grouped
Right.
them, which is why they are listed separate. If there be a motion that was going to group them all again, we should likely read them all in, because I think we've just only read 4, but they are all interrelated, obviously, with the budget, so.
And drop dead date for publication is when?
It will go to the paper for Sunday. If,
So we're right at the final hour right now.
yes,
All right, just want to make sure.
otherwise we'd have to schedule a special meeting. So we could
This week.
schedule a special meeting, but
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Barb.
No, this is kind of out of order because my brain went somewhere else because I was writing figures instead of. When you were talking about the merit increase in the HR, their concern was that this merit is not given because somebody really did their job well, or that they put in some extra hours, that the merit is something that's supposed to be exceptional beyond their job. If they work hard and they put in extra whatever, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to be doing. And the merit should be based on, extra.
Well, I read and I kind of understood them. You want to talk?
When you're
Yeah,
done.
okay, I read and what I kind of heard several say is that it's not intended to be a one-off or a bonus. It's intended to be that you're working at this level all the time. And, so we should expect at least average production, at least. Nobody should be below average. If you're below average, that's a problem. We need to work with those people and get them above average or better. And we should only accept average or more. And to earn a merit or a market increase is somebody that is well beyond that. And consistently is doing that all the time. It isn't just used because somebody did this or did this, because then it really looks like a bonus. And these are not bonuses. The merit and market reserve is gonna stay. So if we give this to somebody, it's gonna also be next year, the year after, the year after. It's not a bonus. So
Yeah,
that's my thought there. And these are very tough to regulate
Right.
and to prove why others are not getting it. So that's what they're concerned. Michael?
So that was actually a good segue. A lot of our newer employees were hired below the midpoint or the average pay for their grade. So the majority of it really is to get them up to market, get them to that average rate, as they are gaining new skills, as they're learning more of our processes and how to do their job better. That's really where a lot of this comes in, is moving new employees up to that market rate. So I know we're concerned maybe about the merit.
Why didn't we hire them at the right rate in the first place?
because they needed additional training, like maybe they're needed to achieve a CDL and we're
Yeah.
willing to take them up to get.
Or we
Okay.
get, we've been burned in the past. Somebody says, I can do X, Y, Z. You bring them in and they can't really do X, Y, Z, and now they're getting made, they're being paid more.
And you can't take it away. If you
You can't take it away.
You'll lose the employee. I just got a comment real quick. I can notice the volume. So whatever you did, I heard it with Jessica first, now I hear it with him. So good job on that. I don't know if the rest of you can hear that. But I could definitely hear the volume. It's much better.
So I guess as far as like how we as staff view this, it's really to get our employees to that midpoint of the pay grade, so they are competitive in the market.
Jim?
So would it be fair then to remove the word merit, and this is only to be used for market adjustments?
And we have one or, I'd say out of the people that get, there's maybe one or two merit employees that have been, how do I put it? Sometimes the institutional knowledge, right? If you have an employee that's been here for 30 yethat, and they're still improving, they're still learning a skill set, they're doing above average work.
Then you should look at your history and see that employee also gets that often. Because if they're that consistent, then they really truly, this isn't just employee of the month, and then you do the full rotation and start over. It's, that merit really goes with someone that is consistently there. Yeah, okay. I think we beat this to death. So, okay. So staff compensation, benefits, Steve, where are you on this? With your last motion?
Well, the last motion was that items 5 and 6 were contingent on 4 coming in at or below 12%. So how would I need to, do we need to rescind? How do we do this? Do we need to pull that motion back or?
You wouldn't have to rescind that motion, but you could put forth a new motion to say that those items are okay as presented within the budget, or that the board accepts the items as presented in the budget, and to move forward with the public hearing notice, and then then we would have the public hearing and the final approval of the budget in November.
Correct.
Could we also make it decrease benefit renewal or, also? I guess I'm not sure what your motion, what you meant to do with it.
I guess the thought process a couple of weeks ago was to hold off. We didn't want, Jessica thought that our budget could be balanced if the benefits stayed at 12% and still give everybody their market increase and keep the merit market
Right.
reserve. So the thought process behind my motion was if it went above that, it would give us an out to say, okay, hold on, we have to look at this, but staff has come back tonight with a balanced budget. So
Okay, I just was wondering what the purpose of your putting that out there was.
So I'll make a motion to approve the benefits renewal, the 2025 staff compensation increases and the 2025 merit market reserve as presented for the 2025 budget.
Motion by Cronin, who have, accept the benefits, with the new renewal rate, the 3% compensation increases and the $15,000 for merit market reserve, usage also. Is there a second? Second by Zagami. Any more on the discussion? Jim?
Yes. So everything is gonna cost more next year. This is being recorded, this isn't a secret, whether it's a pencil or a loaf of bread or a gallon of gas, and it costs more to our taxpayers and it costs more to the village budget, right? It is painful for me to go through this process without seeing something from department heads or something of the, hey, this is my ideal budget, this is where I want to be at $100,000 for whatever it is. But oh, by the way, in there is that 3%, that 4%, that whatever we think that we might be able to come up with for a contingency for, we know that health insurance is gonna cost more next year. And if it doesn't, my goodness, Michael, you can buy 38 more tons of salt or whatever that looks like, right? But we don't have that. That has never been, I've been through 2 of these now. Both times it's never been there. So I'd love to see, and you can't do this in October. You have to do this in now through April, right? And then kind of adjust, let that target move, but come to the next budget process with, this is where I want to see it at 100%. And this is how we can get there, right? So if it's, we charge $15 for a fence permit. I know that's the wrong number. But it actually costs our staff in actual time and materials, $97 to administer that permit and go out and check the guy's fence and make sure it's on his yard or whatever we all do for a fence permit. Never got one, so I don't know what that looks like. So we're operating in the red to begin with. Is it fair to burden all of the taxpayers for the one fence permit user to push all of that cost to him or her? I don't feel as though it is. And I don't think it's fiscally responsible to not come here with, hey, this is our plan on how we can do this, not the Hail Mary of the, oh, well, we move this and we change that and then whichever. I don't think that that's fair. I also, when we get all these spreadsheets, it would be really cool to see last month's spreadsheet and this month's spreadsheet, or add another column or make a red line or something next to it so I can see, hey, this is where we got those numbers. Not that you did anything wrong. I think you did a fantastic job
There's a
Oh
balancing.
reason why I didn't send it to you, because like you see there's 50 pages, and to actually go through and document each minuscule change that I took a 200 here, 100 there. That is what I've done for the last 15 years to try to balance this, because it's not easy. As you see, we got our health insurance numbers at the end. We get our final state aids. I just got transportation just a couple of weeks ago. I finally get the the numbers of how much we're gonna get. And to actually bring back of how I can tweak it and actually bring back a balanced budget. That's really, I think it's such immaterial numbers that I don't think they're that important to you. I mean, they may be,
I
but
think $200 matters, but I think when you moved, like the safer thing was 159 or something and went to 105.
it was approved though. I had 170,000. So yeah, let's go back to safer. Safer in this budget, which this is, if can we move on to budget talk? I applied $105,000. We talked about this probably 3 meetings ago that we were gonna apply the safer increase instead of moving $105,000 to streets. Did we talk about that?
Yes, we did, because I suggested.
Why we wanted to do that is, can we fit our total expenditures into the expenditure restraint program? And when I got the expenditure restraint notice, I got the allowable increase. I looked at our increase, and I moved the 105, which used to be 170. I moved that back and I saw we were only at 2.4%. And I thought that was the way I wanted to present it to you. This is still a budget workshop. You want more numbers, we want to come back at another time, we can do that. I can show you more documents. I can't go back and reprint what I had prior to what I have because it's a flowing document. I don't have all the numbers, but that's something I can go through and we can talk about. But
That's not my intent, Jessica. I think you did an excellent job. It was just hard for me to see. I think we've seen some of these same spreadsheets 3 or 4 times now, and to see, well, gosh, this number went from this to this. What the heck was the old number? And I gotta look in the last packet and the last packet and the last packet and see, oh,
the
I see.
biggest change
We
you're gonna
moved this,
see there,
this budget from X to Y. And that's cool. I'm glad that you did it. You did an excellent job of budgeting that. It's hard for me to process though of that 150 to the 109 or remove the this to the that, just to see it here. Like it follows really well here from 23 to 24 to 24 estimated to proposed to budget change. Just the last click of the, oh, like if you added one more column that said, we moved it to the this is where your change came from.
next year I promise to do that. I see exactly what you're talking about. And I think that's a really great idea, is to take last meetings, add another column and say, as of budget meeting, put the date in and then show where it was, and then I can do a change instead of just the change from 24 to 25. We can do a change from meeting to meeting. I can
Okay.
put that in for next year.
Thank you.
So I have a motion and a second. Okay, go ahead.
Just one thing I want to piggyback on, you had made a comment about the fence posts.
Mhm.
I understand it's a fence post, but part of what we all pay for as taxpayers here in the village is to have those services available when we want them. Yes, I may not go in once except for every 30 years to get a permit for a fence post, but I do expect that a fire engine's gonna show up at my house. I pay for it every day, even though I don't use it. So is it fair to the rest of the taxpayers? If you wanna go down that road, Jim, that's fine. All I'm saying is, it's a very slippery slope, because we have a lot of services that people use or don't use every day that they do pay for.
Very quickly.
So just my intent on that was exactly that, right? So we've got in the fee schedule, every time the ambulance shows up, it's $1,000 or whatever it costs to have an ambulance show up. That's a usage fee. I get it, we're a municipality, we provide services and that's good, but and everyone shares some of that burden for the ambulance, right? But when it physically shows up at your house, you also get a bill. Is that $15 fence permit proportional to the actual dollars?
$1,000 ambulance bill isn't covering the fees either. I hate to break it to you. We have that conversation every month.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion other than what we're just talking about?
No.
Seriously? Go ahead.
I just want to remind you guys that 105, we put that there with the notion that we're either going to be doing a referendum, or if we put it off one more year, we will have to borrow the increase for safer
Yes.
through our borrowing. Just a reminder, this is not a permanent fix. It will need to be revisited next year.
Right.
Yes, because that was the suggestion under that rather than trying the referendum this
Right,
year.
right.
We've
Yes.
got a healthy fund balance. Don't borrow,
Right,
take it out of that. So
exactly.
Motion second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Woo-hoo, so carried. All right, number 7, review and discussion of complete 2025 budget.
Is there anything else that you wanted to cover, Jessica?
Let me double check.
Or was there any other questions from trustees?
Not for me.
not here.
Oh,
So that was just review and discussion?
Yep. And there's also the OneDrive link there to access it if there's.
Okay. All right, number
Go through
8.
the summary quick, just a really quick. We also have the public hearing notice. I guess I wanted to touch on that. Is that in the packet?
It is, but it's the next agenda item.
Okay, we can move there then. Fine.
Okay, so any other questions on 7 and then we could go to 8.
Move to 8, okay. So discussion and or action on 2025 budget public hearing notice. And now you're saying that what that question was, it's now in this.
Yep.
Right, okay.
I guess I just want to point out a few things. The property taxes did go up. And they went up 40,000 approximately with the levy limit worksheet, so our allowable increase, and then we did add the $93,000 in. It's just moving from fund to fund. The minus 15%, that includes the $90,000 reduction. The fines and forfeitures, that's one of the reasons why I balanced the budget. I did, last time we met, Chief said that was a really low estimate. So I looked at what our history was, our total revenues minus the expenses, and I bumped that up. Because right now we're recording our fines and forfeitures at net instead of gross. So I did bump that up and that did help balance my budget. But that is why you see the minus 65% because we are budgeting net right now. Intergovernmental charges for services, the Everest Metro $35,000 came off of that line. Intergovernmental revenues, an increase of 8.07%. That includes $100,000 of general transportation aids, and it also includes approximately $50,000 of our personal property tax aids. Other than that, the 15.41 for miscellaneous revenue is our interest income. Any questions on anything? They are all estimates. I don't have my final assessed values yet. Right now, we're looking at a decrease, obviously. We're going from $8.11, which was our assessed tax rate, and I'm estimating $5.89 I still need. I will not be getting that form from the state for a week yet.
Questions? What's your pleasure? Motion to approve by Ermeling,
Second?
second by Wyland. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 9, discussion and or action on 2025 capital improvement plan.
So after our last meeting, when Greg Johnson had come and presented, we did circle back up and we made some changes to the capital improvement plan. We will be taking out a less borrow than was proposed at the last meeting. That's just because we moved some things around. We used some different revenue sources for some items, but that brought down the total borrow to about 12 million. We'll have Harry join us from Ellers online a little bit later, but we just wanted to update you on this, on the presentation, the updated financing. And then you'll actually approve that, the resolution for that a little bit later in the meeting.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, this was about a little over 14 million, so we removed about $2 million. Some of it was future water projects. That probably wouldn't be getting done in the next year and a half here, so.
Sounds good.
Were there any cost savings due to the engineer that we now have?
Yeah, so that's kind of I guess a big part is, it's it's hard to show, but instead of, a $200,000 contract with an engineering firm, one of the items was even in our packet is for surveying services. I think we're at 15,000 for surveying for 3 projects, and the rest of that will be designed in-house. So there is a substantial savings there versus, for 3 projects, probably budgeting, $300,000 to $400,000. So.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
We have to approve anything.
Motion to approve by Cronin, second by Zagami. Any more on the discussion?
Need to be approved?
It doesn't need to be approved because you'll actually approve the borrow a little bit later on, but if you wanted to choose to acknowledge, that would be.
We're talking about number 9?
For certain grants or
We're
anything.
talking about
As
number
long
9.
as the resolution for well, maybe there should be action to approve it, just so we can state that it is approved. I think everything in there's already in a
CIP.
CIP, yeah.
Okay.
Right, it doesn't hurt, I guess.
Motion to approve.
So yeah, we already did. Okay, so we have it. All, hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, so carried. All right, now, being that we are 9 minutes ahead, incredible. We are gonna go into the interviews. Can we start interviews?
You can do the draw,
Yep, but we can't start till 6.
but by the time you do the draw and we have the exit, we'll be right at 6. So if
Okay.
you wanted to, President Maloney has a fish bowl with everybody's name in it, covered up.
I'm gonna move real quick and grab 13 and 14. Yep,
Okay,
and so I'm gonna grab the minutes from previous meetings, 13 and 14 on our agenda. Approval of September 16th, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting and approval of October 7th, 2024 Special Board Budget Workshop meeting.
To approve 13 and 14 concurrently as presented.
Motion by Pincinel, second by Ermeling. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. I just feel like it's a win to get one ahead. All right, now let's go back to 10. I'm sorry, but thank you for indulging. Did you pull the?
I pulled the 2 out. So
All right, so we, just as, maybe you don't all know, but 2 people have pulled themselves out today. So one is Andy Sutton and the other one is Scott Sleater. So we have 6 tonight instead of 8, which is outstanding. And let's see, what I'm gonna do is there's, the 6 names are in here. And we're gonna draw from the first interview or the last interview.
we'll draw all 6 in the order that they'll
Okay.
be asked to join us.
All right,
And then I just put some tape there so we don't lose the order.
Yep.
You can tape them right to that sheet.
sure. Okay,
First one is, if I get it open,
yep.
Josh Batts.
Josh Batts is number 1. Okay. Let's just get this here.
So Josh, if you want to come up to the front table and have a seat.
Okay, Joe Jordan is number 2. Chop, chop. Oh, I got one. Okay,
Mike Stens.
Mike Stenstrom, okay. Mike Stenstrom is number 3. Okay. And Dave Deason is number 4. Oh, just one. Yeah.
Brent Olson.
Brent Olson is number 5. And that would leave. Who would that leave? As our last one, Dino Corvino?
Yeah.
Yep, you got it?
Sure.
Dino Corvino, number 6. You wanna hold this? Do you want this or do you want me to have this?
You can hold that.
Okay.
So-
Look at.
Two items, Mr. President, we
Yep.
will ask our our later numbers to go into the conference room in the other room. I think I'll ask Sean to take them over there.
Okay,
Just before we get to that point, we did have someone present with a public comment.
okay.
And
Sure.
we started early, so why don't we take that public comment now?
Yeah, all right.
And then we can,
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so Lisa Knoll, right? If you'd wanna come on up and express your public comment, right? You wanna speak, correct?
I do.
Yes, just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Lisa Canal.
Okay,
My last name's spelled Knoll.
okay,
My address is 2175 Oregon Trail
okay,
in Cronenwether.
okay.
Thank you for letting me come and speak tonight.
Mhm.
Hoosh asked me to come and speak, and so I always do what Hoosh says, and here I am. My name is Lisa Canal. I'm the president of Wausau Area Pickleball.
Oh, cool. All right,
Pickleball has
Yeah.
been in Wausau for about 10 years. It's kind of a baby here in Wausau.
Mhm.
Our club has about 180 members. Our mission, of course, is to grow the game, encourage good sportsmanship, have some friendly competition. We also like working with area communities to create and improve pickleball facilities. I brought two of my friends with me, Kirk Van Hoovel and Donna Brandenburg. Donna is our treasurer and Kirk is an at-large member. So pickleball is, there's no mistake, it has exploded in popularity in the last couple of years. In 2021, there was about 4.8 million participants. 1 year later, 36 million participants. Recently, some other area communities have built new courts. Merrill has 6. Antico just christened 16 courts with lights. Marshfield has plugged in to 12 courts with lights. Lake Hallie near Eau Claire, they have 16 courts. They are going to host a senior pro pickleball event next summer, so we're excited to see that come around. So you might be asking yourselves, what can pickleball do for Weston? It can do 3 things. The first thing is it can strengthen the existing community. These are my friends back here that I just happened to meet on the pickleball court. We have relationships that continue off the court. We have walked with each other through life, including births and deaths and health scares and so on and so forth. Number 2 is talent acquisition and retention for the community. So the biggest group that is growing pickleball right now are the kids that are 6 years old to 17 years old. Eventually, these kids are gonna grow up, they're gonna go to school, they're gonna go to university, they're gonna look for a place to start a family and start a career. Pickleball might be at the top of their list of places and things that they want in their checklist. And finally, number 3, we totally believe in increased sales for local businesses. We're players, we love to travel, we want to stay in a hotel a night or two. After we play, we have a big need for an adult beverage and a carbohydrate reload. Not to mention our local healthcare providers that have seen all of us come in, the walk-in, radiology, physical therapy, orthopedics, am I right? So we recently sent out a survey to our members, and I'll conclude by saying there was a lot of support for the Yellow Banks possibility. That was 58% of respondents. 29% of respondents responded to Montpelier Park, and 14% was other. I am happy to get those full results to you at another time, and I thank you for your time and attention tonight.
Well, thank you for joining us. So very nice. Thank you, Shane. Yep. Okay.
Start calling you Hoosh.
Yeah, whoosh. I like
was
that.
like, who
Whoosh.
is that?
She knows you. She calls you whoosh. She knows you. So that's good. Good stuff.
I
Okay.
know her for many years.
Yeah, that's.
So can we have our candidates, 2 through 6, go with Sean into the other room? And Sean, can you just make sure that that door is closed then?
Let's see, Josh. Yeah.
Dan, I'm starting to hurt.
Oh, okay.
So just for this evening, I'll ask all the questions. You certainly can address your responses to the trustees, but it's just easier if I ask them so they can focus and take notes. So what motivated you to submit an application for the trustee vacancy?
Two kind of unrelated things, so, I, as an assessor, on the office of Menasha, I did a board review as a statutory assessor for the city of Tilton, for example. And, during maintenance years, if you all are aware, like, you don't really have anything, but you have to sit there for 2 hours listening to, the people at the city actually talking about like the roads and whatnot. There was a big debate over should we do blacktop or concrete for some new road coming in. And I thought that was just really interesting. And then one of my vendors is a board of trustees member for the town of Little Chute over by Appleton. And he's always had really good things about it. So it's just literally had the conversation maybe in March, and then I got an email or a flyer about this a couple months later. Just felt like good timing for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you believe is the greatest strength of the village?
The village, I think it's the location. Like I said, I work out of my office is in Menasha, so I go over there maybe once or twice a month. And coworkers are like, "Well, just move over here. It's so great." Well, we have mild music, but we have so much better kayaking over here and whatnot. And I like to travel, so it's just being a centralized location. It's easy to get either east, west, north, south from right here from Wisconsin. But like for specifically like all the kayaking stuff, I love going to the rivers. The high water, I think it did the fastest I've ever done it was this summer. That was a lot of fun.
What is something that you feel needs improvement in the village? And if appointed as trustee, how would you work to improve it?
For the village, that's one thing I wanna just get involved and find out where I can be of service. I have a lot of experience in the IT world and whatnot. So one thing without knowing as much about like what the village systems currently are, but I know a lot of the big push right now, bigger municipalities across the state is looking at like one-stop shops for their IT services as far as HR and bookkeeping and even like the assessment and building permit stuff. Some of the comments I heard earlier in the meeting talking about administration for that stuff. I think there's a lot of opportunities for savings in going that route.
How would you handle a situation where a member of the community contacted you directly and was unhappy with the service that the board approved and the village provided?
Myself, I would be kind of revert back to the military side. Like I've had in the military, once the decision's made, you have to follow it, especially obviously coming from in my case, like the captain or colonel above me, like once they said it, regardless of my personal opinions, it doesn't matter. I have to go forward and here's what we're gonna do. I'm a team player on that side.
What skills are you excited to share with the board and village of Weston community?
I'm told that I'm very good at trying to look at everything, like taking the emotion out of it. That's one thing that my wife probably says is one of my bigger faults, but I just don't like to worry about whose feelings and whatnot. I want to see the facts, like whatever the issue is, and even if it doesn't work out right for me personally or professionally, I still want to do the right thing as far as what's off the information I have in front of me.
Why do you think this opportunity to serve is the right fit for you?
Yeah, just everything professionally and whatnot right now, I've the best place I've been in so far in my professional life, and talking about this with like I said, my coworker Joe, that was the trustee in Little Chute. Everything just kind of lined up timeline wise. I'm not one for like destiny or whatnot, but it just kind of felt like this is one of the few times in my life where I was like, actually, this does feel like a good opportunity.
I apologize, trustee. I had good fit trustees. I had good fit. I'll do right fit for all of the candidates. Just on that last question.
What's that? What?
On the last question, I had the opportunity to serve is a good fit for you, but I did say right fit, so I'll say right for
Okay.
the other ones.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you want to end? Do you want to end with any more you want to add? Because then we're gonna ask that of everybody.
Yep.
And then also, if anybody asks a question, you probably have to ask that of everyone. So just so you know, okay? It's up, Josh, wanna add anything?
I said I want to look at I'm really interested in seeing how like the village actually is run as far as like the systems and whatnot. For my company right now, we're working on, it's like Kenosha, for example, to build out an all-in-one solution. So regardless of get the position or not, if that's something you guys are looking into, long-term would probably be, I think there's down the road for budget and whatnot. But I really think that that's something that a lot of municipalities need to start looking at because, going back to the, building permit side, pen and paper side is a little bit ridiculous, and then going to the digital stuff, and then you can kind of link that in with other stuff. So there's a lot more and options out there than what a lot of municipalities realize.
It's a good multitask. He's interviewing plus trying to sell. So, yeah. Okay, we're good? All right.
You're welcome to stay.
Yep. So, okay, with that, on the agenda, we have placement and then we also have sworn in.
Yes,
So if they do decide to leave, we just have them come back to swear in, correct?
well, if they could serve the rest of the meeting, so I think we would be looking for them to stay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, until a determination was made.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
And he can stay in here, right, if he wants?
Yes, he can
Yeah.
stay. You can stay and listen to the,
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
can also do that. Joe Jordan is next, correct?
Yes, Joe Jordan.
Mr. President, to clarify, we're not gonna do the 3-minute introduction.
The what?
It was optional, so
So
Yeah.
only if I feel like you kind of threw them into the questions already, which I'm good with.
Okay.
We don't have to add another 18
Yeah.
minutes to it if you don't need to, but that's how we did it for one, so.
no one provided their PowerPoint in it.
So we should probably stay consistent, right? Is what you're thinking? Okay, good. Mhm. Okay.
So thank you for being here.
You
I
can-
will
you can
ask,
sit or stand, yeah, okay.
I'll ask the questions, but if you just want to address the responses to the trustees, I'm just asking them tonight so they can focus on writing down responses and on
Sure.
what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay? So what motivated you to submit an application for the trustee vacancy?
I'm, long-term, loss of supply, and so I've had a lot of interaction with the village over the years. And all in a really positive thing since we decided to locate our business from Wassa down here. And so I've had a lot of chances to have some interaction with the staff, and sometimes things went really well and other times things were somewhat frustrating. But through it all, this was home for us. And when I say that, I've actually developed other warehouses in lots of other communities. And that process was, often cases was very difficult. So I really appreciate what we've developed here, and really wanted to continue to expand our business as much as I could at our Weston facility. So our business really grew well. We had a good run, and I actually assumed the role of president in 2016, fully retired in 2020. And at this point now, they've paid me off, so I've even retired from being a board member of Wassa Supply. So I have some spare time on my hands now. And previously I worked with the village when we were revising the zoning code, which was quite a deal. And again, had a chance to work with staff again, trying to figure out what we wanted to do there. And then joined the plan commission because I really felt, what's really important to me is how do we continue to expand and develop more business for Weston? I really feel that the Weston, once upon a time, I viewed it as a bedroom community. And it really, my mind really changed when I don't know exactly who started the Weston Industrial Parks. Dean Tuiger was involved at that time. And as I talked to Dean, he recognized that he really wanted to encourage business development in the village besides just the fact that we're building more and more houses in the village. And it really only makes sense, you know, I mean, you really need the businesses, the jobs to supply the energy for people that live in the village. And so I've got I guess my interest really is in doing whatever we can to promote business in the village. At the same time, providing all the services that members, you know, so I live in the village, so all of the things that matter to me as a taxpayer. And in the end, to try and figure out how to minimize the amount of money that we end up paying for the services that we all desire. You know, so businesses really do support an important portion of that through the property taxes that we pay. And as you've seen, as we've developed at Weston Supply, you know, we're one of the largest property tax payers in the village now, and I really feel pretty good about that. You know, so and even the things that aggravate me, like the stormwater utility tax, you know, it only makes sense. You know, I mean, we've really gotten to a good spot. So I've never really run for public office, and you know, I thought about it, but the reality is that this is the first time that I really sat down and thought about it. Would I really like to be involved in this? And I think I would. So that's my motivation.
What do you believe is the greatest strength of the village?
The greatest strength of the village is really in the fact that there really is a good mix of residential and business, and the fact that the village is continuing to try and evolve. You know, I guess what I've witnessed is what's going on with the TIF trying to restore some of the older properties, you know, and recycle them back into more current business applications, you know, and continuing to be a great place to raise a family. You know, I mean, really, what does it come down to in the end is, where do you want to live? You know, and I've had opportunities to live all over the country, but the reality is I come back here because I really love the culture that we have in our own backyard.
What is something that you feel needs improvement in the village, and if appointed as trustee, how would you work to improve it?
Well, that's something I've been working on for a long time, you know, and it gets back to as we wanted to continue to evolve our business, develop our business, there's a lot of things that you get into where if you look at the regulations, the zoning, whatever, the answer might be, well, no, you can't do that. And okay, so if I can't do that, tell me what I can do or help me figure it out, right? You know, so I've had a lot of dialogue with the staff over the years about how do we facilitate that, you know? So I'm a great advocate for empowering the staff to be able to make these decisions. And the problem though is that they need a book to follow, so to speak. You know, I mean, the ordinances or the code that we have, well, it's not all black and white, you know, and that's probably the biggest challenge, is that there's opportunities to do things differently. And I recognize that we want to treat everybody the same, but there are definitely times when it makes sense to do something a little different. How do we develop the mechanism to do that fairly? You know, I mean, you know, there's so much power in the word no. The reality is that I'd really like to figure out a way to say yes more often and develop those protocols to allow that.
How would you handle a situation where a member of the community contacted you directly and was unhappy with the service the board approved and the village provided?
Well, I've always been an advocate for the glass is half full, you know, and I recognize that there's a lot of people that complain, you know, and so I experienced that a lot at Weston Supply because once upon a time we had a pretty big open field and we're right next to a residential area. And as time went on, that big open field that people used all of a sudden was being filled up with buildings, and then worse than that, we actually started running 24/7, with some of the manufacturing things that we did, so we were generating a fair amount of noise. And so I had that opportunity to talk to a lot of those, when I say a lot, it's only a few, right? I mean, that typically, where you run into complaints or they're talking, but, the whole idea is to try and help them understand why we're doing what we're doing, what the benefit is to the community. And the reason that we certainly appreciate or understand your concerns, but this is why we're doing what we're doing. And again, if we're talking about just somebody talking to me about business in general, I don't have those problems talking about what the village is doing. If it's something that it relates to what we're working on, well, if there's confidence, obviously I wouldn't disclose any of that sort of thing, So I'm not real sure if you're talking about just somebody that's complaining, so to speak, or.
Someone that contacted you with a concern.
Okay. All right.
What skills are you excited to share with the board and the Village of Weston community?
The opportunity I've had to work with a whole bunch of people at Wassa Supply, so in the beginning, I wore a lot of hats and was very much involved. I really appreciated the involvement that I had with all of the staff, the department heads that I worked with. And really the key was trying to come up with, so how do we all work together, to facilitate what it is, what are our goals, and what are our objectives and how can we do that stuff together.
Why do you think this opportunity to serve is the right fit for you?
I'm at that point in my life right now where I look around and I can complain about what's going on in our world. And this is one small area where maybe I could contribute something positive because I actually would have the time to invest in it right now.
Anything else to add?
No, like I say, I just appreciate the opportunity that we've had to do business in Weston all of these years. It really has, in the end, been a great place for us to really continue to be successful, and it's evident that it's not only Wassa Supply, it's Green Heck, it's Crystal Finishing. The village really does work pretty hard to make it a great place to not only live, but to do business in. And that's a really good mix, you have that.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay in the audience and hear the next four.
Could you remind us who's number 3, please?
Number 3 is Mike Stenstrom.
Not a beer.
Coke or is that a Jack and Coke or what? You got a wrap around it.
So Mike, you can feel free to sit or stand, yes?
I'll sit, thanks.
We got excited, so we jumped right into questions.
Fair enough.
So I'll ask the questions, but you can focus your responses back to the trustees. I'm just asking so they can concentrate on your answers.
Great.
What motivated you to submit an application for the trustee vacancy?
I served as a planning commissioner for about 9 years, and I enjoyed every minute that I was on that committee. What I realized after a time was that the planning committee wasn't the final decision. The final decision is here, and that's important. All we could do is make a recommendation. We made good recommendations based on sound principles, but they were just recommendations. This is where the good stuff happens. So that's why I applied.
What do you believe is the greatest strength of the village?
There's a lot of good to choose from as far as strengths in the village. But what I really appreciate about the village, having lived here since 2003, is the fact that everybody takes care of everybody else. The folks that are on the board of trustees care about the people that are in the village of Weston, and that's important to me. I appreciate every one of your time, your passion. And what's great about that passion and the attention to all of the problems that come up, because they are problems to solve. That is taking care of the village. And I really like that. I think that's our biggest strength as a village is that we have people in charge who care.
What is something that you feel needs improvement in the village, and if appointed as trustee, how would you work to improve it?
One of the things that I think we could do better at as a village, and better means that we're already doing a good job, but we could do better. And that's the way that we plan out road closures. I think that we could do a better job at planning out the road closures by gathering data. I'm kind of a data-driven guy. I like to have facts. I like to have figures. I don't like to base my decisions or my recommendations when I was a planning commissioner on emotions. Data means that before we go into the next road closure season, culling season, the next time we do that, we should have actual data on the number of vehicles that are traveling these lanes. We closed a great majority of our east-west corridors. We reduced the remaining corridor to one lane in each direction. It's necessary. We had to improve the roads. We had to build out our infrastructure to support the future of the village of Weston. But doing better means we gather the data and we make data-based decisions. What I have fear, and I have no data, so I can't say, but my hypothesis is that we took so many vehicles off the east-west corridor and put them into 2 lanes on Schofield Avenue that we're actually doing significant damage to Schofield. Every single time a car passes over something, it does a little tiny bit of damage. It costs us a little bit of money to maintain it. There's a lot of cars going into a very small funnel. So I think that's something we could do better at. Data, gather the data, present the data, make decisions based on it.
How would you handle a situation where a member of the community contacted you directly and was unhappy with a service that the board approved and the village provided?
The very first thing that I've done, even as a planning commissioner, I was contacted by people outside of the committee. The very first thing I do is listen for understanding. I don't listen to make a comment. I don't listen to make a defense. I listen so that I can understand the entire breadth of what they're talking about. Once I understand that, the first thing I have to do is explain to them that the best place that they can bring that up is in front of the respective committee or the board of trustees. And I went so far as to actually walk that person through making a presentation. I didn't influence them, but I told them, this is how you apply to talk in front of the planning commission. This is what they're gonna expect in terms of what you have to provide for data. They made their presentation, they lost. They did not get their exemption, but they appreciated that the process was there and they appreciated someone actually listening to the problem.
What skills are you excited to share with the board and the Village of Weston community?
Aside from experience in the planning committee, in the time since I left the planning commission, I did at least an introduction into data science. I was going to take a master's in data science. So I did the introduction, decided that that wasn't for me, but I developed a great appreciation for gathering the data and making decisions on it. The one thing that I cannot do and nobody will ever pay me to do is to develop an algorithm. I can't do it. That's the one gap that I have in my head. I can't develop the algorithm that makes all of that work. Gather the data, sort the data, I can do it. But what I would bring is data. I want to gather data. I want to be instructive and constructive in gathering important data to make decisions.
Why do you think this opportunity to serve is the right fit for you?
There's a couple of reasons that I am excited if I get the opportunity to serve on the board. Number one, as of this fall, I'm an empty nester and I have more time. So I have a lot more time that I'd like to fill with projects that mean I can give back. When I left the planning commission, it was because I had too many things going on in my life, 2 kids in school and a whole bunch of other things. I am looking for the right way to give back to this village. I've been here since 2003. It's done great things for me. It's time to give back.
Anything else to add?
The only thing that I would add is that if I'm given the opportunity to serve on the Board of Trustees, I want to contribute. I don't want to sit back passively. I want to ask the questions and maybe not focus quite so much on Robert's Rules of Order. I did a lot of Robert's Rules of Order on the Planning Commission, and I don't think it's necessary.
Good. Thanks, Mike. You're welcome to stay in the audience
All right, thanks.
and listen to the last three.
Number 4, can you remind
Number
everyone?
4 is Dave Easton.
I thought it's helpful to have a reminder, so that's.
No, I think that's great.
Stuff together.
Mhm.
What number four?
Hmm?
Number four.
Number 4 is Dave Deason. David Deason.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Not just for us, but those that might be viewing.
David Deason. As in number 4. Hey, David, yep, right to the front here if you want to sit or stand. And Jamie will be asking all the questions.
What motivated you to submit an application for the trustee vacancy?
Well, having sat where you folks are sitting now, and I had some time freed up because I was on the a local community bank board for 19 years and just got off of that because I got old. They have a mandatory at 72, you have to get off. And I had a birthday, so, wanted to get a little more involved than I am now with planning commission. I remember lots of good times and enjoying, serving on the board and, well, I still had some stuff to give and provide, so that's why.
What do you believe is the greatest strength of the village?
It's people. The staff is amazing that we have, I think. They just, no matter what the task is or what they're up against, they just seem to come to work every day and get it done. I think that's the strength.
What is something that you feel needs improvement in the village, and if appointed as trustee, how would you work to improve it?
I think there's several things. One, just controlling the growth. You know, we've got so much going on and everybody has got a super full plate. But, just doing it correctly or as well as we can. And so, there's gonna be a lot of growth, I think, and I think just controlling that growth to the betterment of the village. And going to the future.
How would you handle a situation where a member of the community contacted you directly and was unhappy with the service that the board approved and the village provided?
Well, there's tough decisions this board has to make, and, it gets done respectfully, and it gets done with a lot of, information. And the board has to make some tough decisions, given the information that they've got at the time, and for the whole village. And so, yeah, you're not always gonna please everybody. When I first got involved with politics in the village, somebody said, well, you're gonna tick 50% of the people off and you're gonna make 50% happy. And I'm not sure that's quite right, but, yeah, you're not gonna make everybody happy, so it's just the way it is.
What skills are you excited to share with the board and the Village of Weston community?
I think my experience, having quite a bit of experience with the village and politics and serving, I think that's that's a strength, I think, that I'll bring. I know kind of how things run and, excited to get back into it. If chosen.
Why do you think this opportunity to serve is the right fit for you?
I think I'm kind of good at it. I don't know, I'm a people person, like talking. And I think I'm a pretty good listener, so, I think I've got something to give and, I'm, excited about it.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't believe so. I think that pretty much covers it.
Thank you.
Dave. You're welcome to be in the audience and listen to the last two.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
So Brent Olson?
Brent Olson. Brent Olson. Hey Brent, you can stand or sit, whatever your pleasure. Yes. Okay, and Jamie will be presenting the questions. Mhm.
So first question, what motivated you to submit an application for the trustee vacancy?
So a couple of different reasons. Obviously, I just recently joined the CLPS committee. I've always wanted to get further involved in public service. I've been doing it for the last 20 years. And, you know, I just never got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna do this now. And the posting came out and I'm like, you know what? There's no time like the present, and I want to get involved in the community where I live, where my kids are growing up, and I've enjoyed my experience on the other committee thus far, so this is just an opportunity to expand upon that.
What do you believe is the greatest strength of the village?
I think the greatest strength of the village is in the metro area. It seems like this is where everybody wants to be. This is where the businesses want to build. This is where it seems like everybody kind of wants to congregate. Not gonna name any other municipalities, but not all of them in the county have that same draw. I think that the strength is that draw exists, and that's people want to be here, which keeps us at the forefront.
What is something that you feel needs improvement in the village, and if appointed as trustee, how would you work to improve it?
You know, it's funny, it's gonna sound funny coming from me as the 20-year cop in the room. But I think one of the things that really needs to be addressed is some of the speeding and traffic issues. And I think it's funny that I say that because I've been in many neighborhood group meetings over the years, and we'd be talking about really serious issues, and those did not have nearly the interest from people as the traffic issues, some of those quality of life issues. But I live over on Sandy Lane, and that place is a little racetrack at night. And it's literally like squealing tires at 11 o'clock. It's crazy. So I think things that I would do to help improve that is just to work with Jeremy and the department to get some extra control there, do some things to try to minimize that. Because speaking with my neighbors, that's really the only thing anybody complains about. And I recognize, while insignificant, those tend to be the most significant things that people care about.
How would you handle a situation where a member of the community contacted you directly and was unhappy with the service the board approved and the village provided?
So again, being in law enforcement for 20 years, I've been yelled at for a living. I've been screamed and yelled at for just about anything under the sun. In my most recent position as captain, I was yelled at for anything that anybody in the department did. A lot of the times it's just letting them talk. They just want to get it out, get their frustration out. And usually within a short amount of time of them being able to do that, they get to a more reasonable point where you can have a conversation as to what occurred and why it occurred, and hopefully find that common ground. But usually they just need to express it.
What skills are you excited to share with the board and the Village of Weston community?
So in my 20 years of public service, I've done a lot of different things. I've worked closely with municipal boards. I've been part of budgets and capital plans and all that type of fun stuff. And I just think that my knowledge of all of those types of things will make me a natural fit for the position. By no means do I know everything, and I'm sure there's plenty of things I would need to learn. But I understand the function of municipal boards, what they do, how things are run. And I think that will make me a good fit for the board.
Why do you think this opportunity to serve is the right fit for you?
I think it's just a natural progression of my desire to serve the public. Like I said, I've been doing it for a lot of years through law enforcement, but also through like the education system. I've been teaching on and off for different entities since 2011. Joined the committee recently. I think it's just a natural progression for me and an opportunity for me to continue doing what I have a passion for in just a different way.
Do you have anything else to add?
You know, I did make a list of stuff, but I'm sure you'd all love me to read this whole list, but you have my resume and stuff in front of me, but I just, you know, this is something that's always been kind of a goal of mine, and if you'd asked me a month ago, I wouldn't have told you right now was the time, but after seeing the posting and really just putting some thought into it, I think now might be the time that it's meant for me to be part of the board. So I look forward to a potential opportunity. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good, thank you. You're welcome to stay in the audience and listen to the last interview. Thank you.
And our last applicant?
Would be Dino Corvino.
Thank you.
Hey, Dino, you can sit or stand, and then Jamie will be asking the questions, okay? Mhm.
So what motivated you to submit an application for the trustee vacancy?
So a couple of things motivated me to do it. One, I have time in my schedule now to be of service. Second is I sort of have been on 2 committees for a while now. I've worked with 4 administrators in a row. And so I sort of felt like, okay, I've learned quite a bit, sort of have a sense of what's going on. And I can take it seriously enough to take it on at this point. And I think now's a good chance for someone sort of with my skill set, you know.
What do you believe is the greatest strength of the village?
So for my parks people, I'm going to say the skate park is, but that's just an inside joke, guys. So I think the greatest strength of the Village of Weston is, so the nuts and bolts of it, I think one of the things is its physical size, which allows lots of things to be possible. Secondly, I think that its commitment to sort of the future, like we've seen some really big projects take place, get finished, and then other big projects get started. And I think that that is a commitment from the Village of Weston to the future.
What is something that you feel needs improvement in the village? And if appointed as a trustee, how would you work to improve it?
So I think one of the things that needs to be improved is, like I said in my letter, is a little bit of telling our own story, or, you know, puffing up our own feathers and showing off a little bit. So there's a lot that has happened in the village, just in my time, that has been really cool and has not been talked about. And I think that one of the things that I would like to see is the Village of Weston, given the staff that it has, to sort of start to celebrate itself and the things inside of it a little bit more effectively.
How would you handle a situation where a member of the community contacted you directly and was unhappy with a service the board approved and the village provided?
So I would do two things. One, if they wanted to meet in person, that's always best because keyboard warriors or getting yelled at on the phone is not always the easiest way to do things. And if they weren't able to do that, I would simply listen to their concern and I would explain why I took an action, and then I would explain how my action fits within the strategic plan for the village going forward. So the decisions that are made by this body and by this staff fit inside of a larger plan going forward, and knowing that plan and being able to articulate to someone who opposes an individual action is always easier if you can point back to, this is the plan. This is why we did this. And so, yeah, that's what I would do.
What skills are you excited to share with the board and the Village of Weston community?
A really good penmanship? No. So again, I think it's my communication skills and my strategic planning skills. So I spent a good portion of my life as a nonprofit communications professional and a nonprofit strategic planner. And through that, I've developed a pretty cool skill set to go forward with. And I think that it would be useful both as a trustee and as someone who can offer assistance to staff members. So given the supervisory or oversight role of the Board of Trustees, it's also important to remember that there is a balance between operational actions and oversight actions of the body and of the trustee.
Why do you think this opportunity to serve is the right fit for you?
Yeah, again, I think it's, so what's cool is, Jeremy, I'm gonna call you out a little bit. So Jeremy's known me since high school, and I think it's fair to say I was a knucklehead as a child. And I'm less of a knucklehead now. So I think I've kind of grown into being a 53-year-old adult male professional, which I wasn't always. And so I think that, again, sharing that life experience and that sort of temperance and patience is of value to the village where I live.
Do you have anything else to add?
I don't. I know most of everybody here, so I didn't plan a presentation or anything like that, but thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Dino. Thank you.
That's it. No more questions?
No. You're welcome to stay in the audience here. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we're gonna take a stab at this.
It's really the board's choice. So I do have sheets if you want to write names, and then Pam and I would tell you where, if there's a majority within that, there would still have to be a motion, but you also could make a motion if there was a comfort in that.
Yep.
We would provide the oath of office, provided we had a majority decision tonight, and then that trustee would serve the rest of the meeting.
Right. So, Jim?
Yeah, can I just make a motion to vacate the board and hire these 6 guys?
Yeah, I hear ya. So.
Wait,
this-
straight into something?
It's,
There's a reason there's 6 of you here, right? You're staying, Mark. We're all done.
we're, first of all, we're very excited that we actually had 8 applicants, eight people. Actually a little bit more, but some missed the deadline. 2 dropped out today. But it speaks a lot about our village and our community. So I think that's incredible. And so this isn't gonna be like conclave or white smoke or anything, but we're gonna write down some names. And if we only have 6 of us because we're missing our 7th. If we can, you wanna do this once or twice, or what do you think?
I gave you 6 sheets, so if we
Okay,
need to do it more
so-
than once, we will.
So if we wanna try this now, if we're pretty solid in where we are, then that's just where it is. We'll obviously see that every time we read the names. But are you all comfortable doing this? We're gonna do this out in open. So you'll write a name down, a name, and not your first, second, or third choice. And then we'll turn them in and they'll read them out. And if we have 4, that's our choice. Okay, are we good? Does everyone understand what we're doing? Okay, all right. Go ahead, let's try this and see if this works.
You just wanna hold it up when you're done and I'll come around and collect.
Sure, yeah.
That's not working.
You know one? Okay.
I thought you stole my pen.
Oh, no. Yeah, I looked at yours the other day. I've got 3 of them in here right now.
And I thought, because I couldn't find it, and I thought, is Mark but using his pen he gave me? And then I found blue shape of this right here. I'm digging it, but I thought I had another permanent pen in my, but I don't. Must have. Or if you don't. Yeah. Oh, you got a pen?
I got the assets. It's just crazy. I'll tell people that how to store. Bring them back. Bring them back.
We always
Your top one.
water tags on Tim.
Oh, yeah, he was here for that.
Oh, it's Tim's fault. So you guys are off. It's always Tim.
Your stormwater. Oh, yeah.
No, it's always Tim's fault. Just remember that. And because he knows that, because we tease him all the time. So if anybody ever says anything to you, say, "Well, that's
I'm fine with that.
and it's good."
Call 359-3660 for Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are 4 for Joe Jordan, there is 1 for Brent Olson, and there's 1 for Josh Spence.
Okay. So if you didn't hear that, we actually have a majority already. So we have 4 votes for Joe Jordan. We have 1 for Josh Spatz, and we have 1 for Brent Olson.
Yep.
Brent Olson. So that's the results. Joe Jordan is our appointed trustee for the remaining term. And I just want to let the rest of you know that there's 3 open seats coming up for election. And mine, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so president and 3 open seats, so,
And an opening on finance and human resources.
oh yeah, so yeah, we have an opening on finance and,
And plan commission.
I was gonna say, I think there's gonna be an opening on planning now too.
oh, and well, possibly an opening on planning, yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay,
Mr.
so,
President, can we still do a formal motion, please?
yes, so we would like a formal motion on this.
What do you want to word?
Jim has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim?
No, I was just gonna make the motion. I move to appoint Joe Jordan to the trustee vacancy for the unexpired term until April 15 of 2026.
26. We have a motion by Pincinel to appoint Joe Jordan to the rest of the term till April 26th. And second by Cronin. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. There we are. So thank you all very much. Joe, if you'd like, we'd like to swear you in.
If you wanna come up and.
I hope you understood that it was till 26, not till 25, so. All right. And for the rest, if you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. I'll tell you, taking out papers and jumping into the fray. I'll tell you, I've done it 3 times, so it's very interesting. And then we do have some openings. I think, what'd you say? Finance was an opening and planning potentially? Okay.
Potentially.
So I'm sorry, go ahead. So,
Oh,
yep,
that's
everybody's
okay.
standing here.
I just wanna grab a picture.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you could raise your right hand, please, and state your name.
Joe Jordan,
Who have been duly appointed to the position of trustee for the Village of Weston and have not yet entered upon the duties thereof, swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties to the best of my ability, so help me God.
I will.
And you can just sign it here, please.
What do you do there? The cookies there or what? Oh, you got a. Oh, you got one. Joe's got a name tag. Different from my.
Plan commission,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right. Okay.
It's this.
Welcome on board. All right. All right. You want these saved for the record or?
I can certainly collect them when the meeting is through, or I can
Okay.
collect them now, whichever you prefer.
Either way, then I also have Lisa Knowles, these 2. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. We can just leave it here. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Are we all set?
He needs a password made.
Oh, that's right.
Sticking up there.
And then, do we have agendas back there, Jen?
Agendas?
Yes. You want to just bring a couple up or? I don't know who does or doesn't have one. Maybe he might want that. Thank you. I didn't mean for wherever you're going. I'm sorry. You seem to be moving pretty, you seem to be moving pretty quick. So sorry. If you have an extra, I'll grab one too. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if, Joe, okay, sir, how are you? Good. All right. You know, snacks over on the side if somebody wants something.
It's for sale? It's on the dollar. How are you doing? Crunchy snacks are during a meeting. And you're always just so self-conscious.
There's an agenda next to you too, Joe, just in case you want to follow just the highlights too. A little break or no, or what? What are we thinking? Let's roll. Let's rock it out. You're actually doing pretty good. And I did get the minutes out of the way, so you don't need to thank me. I got a political call. Can you imagine that? Yeah, it was. It was good. Very good, Joel. Good. All right. We are on acknowledge reports, minutes from boards, committees and commissions.
Move to acknowledge 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24 done currently.
Oh, I love those, that, love it, love it, love it. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Ermeling. On the discussion, hearing none. Move to acknowledge as by Pincinel. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Acknowledge reports from departments. 27 administrator. Any more? She has a report in the packet. Yeah. You want to, any more? I don't know if you can fit any more in there. So I don't know.
I believe there's questions.
You bought a house in the middle of all that. That's quite amazing. So I don't know. Any questions for Administrator Jim?
The grass repairs, looks like we just did a small section, they coming back to the rest, or what does that look like?
We're having that conversation. We had a little miscommunication on the whole size that we want it done. So we're communicating that back to Revi. I don't though think that it would still get done this year because I think we're gonna lose the weather to do it. So it might have to be done in the spring.
Excuse me.
Yes.
If you can do it, you should finish it and seed it. Because then in the spring, we have the grass coming out right away. If you wait for the spring, it's gonna be behind and it's gonna take much longer, more erosion, and that's what it is.
And this section was hydro seeding. So there is seed in a piece that was done.
Could you tell us what he did? How did he do it? Is it possible?
I believe that they added in compost.
They overseeded with, or top dressed with, compost.
How much?
It was,
Approximately ½ inch is what the goal was, ½ inch to an inch with and allowing the existing grass to come through. Then they,
You're 2 inches, I'm sorry.
no, we discussed it, but we wanted the existing grass to continue growing.
Okay,
And then they overseeded it and the hydroseeded it.
you see, before they do, excuse me, Mr. President.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
When we were there in construction, I said, you gotta screen all this soil, then you gotta spread it and seed it, and you need add to it. They didn't do it. They brought the special equipment to pick up the rock. And that's what we got now. And I don't think ½ inch gonna do it, but we'll see, we find out.
One other thing, I was asking, because I have an area about where I wanted to see. And I was told that at this late in the game, you should wait until it freezes. Then put it down and then it will come up next spring. Because if you do it now, it'll freeze.
Yeah, freeze, which is good.
Looks
Yeah.
good, yeah, yeah.
So, but I mean, if the grass came up, the young stuff, if it got cold, it would freeze and die, but if you put the seed down after it freezes, and then put your, whatever you're putting on there, then it will come up in the spring.
Jim?
Is there any warranty on the repairs or grass work that was done? I mean, they put the line in the first time, it didn't really work so good. I'm not the farmer's almanac, I don't know how all that stuff works before or after the first frost or whichever, but
So
what's the
there,
contract say?
there will be a charge for this, but we will have to discuss what that would mean in the spring to repair if it didn't come back up.
So we lost our chance with Myron. That's over, right?
Well, Revi came back and they did do some, they repaired the trees and my understanding was that the services that were provided were at a discount because of the project.
Is this something, I'm sorry. Is this something that we maybe need to revisit with Myron, with our attorney? I mean, because I remember sitting in this room when it was noted by quite a few of us that that was not adequate before our year was up. And we were told, well, it'll have to get addressed in the spring because we can't do anything now. Well, that date has long come and gone. So I don't know what that looks like, but maybe we need to get our attorney involved.
Excuse me. Did we pay them 100% for the landscaping?
They were paid, yeah.
And some on top of that. So the discount is $1,500 or something like that. But I mean, as far as this whole project with this building and the land and landscaping, that's all been paid. Nothing was held back. And everyone noted the landscaping, how bad it was, everybody. And we didn't handle it, so. Okay, so we'll have
They
to,
didn't listen, huh? They didn't.
oh, I know that, I know.
We have not compensated them for this service because we had requested it. And like I said, we're in a conversation about the size area that needed to be redone. So that we have not compensated them for.
Well, could you
So we-
hold on, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Hold his money until the spring, until we see what happened. Don't pay him anything. Please.
Well, yeah, but now we're doing this to revise. So did I not read something in the last month about Myron coming in here and taking photos? Did they do that already?
They did, they took photos, yes.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been allowed. This hasn't been that clean. And they are truly responsible for that landscaping. That's under their deal, not everybody else. But they got to run away and walk away. And oh, by the way, can I come and take pictures? Because they're using this building to sell more buildings. And maybe we do this in a nice way that we say, hey, we're not happy. A year and a half later, we're not happy with this landscaping. And I think they know that. They know what was put down there. Just drive by. I bet you money they didn't take any pictures of the landscaping. Or if they did, they photoshopped them. Because all the pictures I've ever seen, it's all Photoshopped of our landscaping. So just a note. All right.
I'm sorry, I thought we paid $1,200 for that.
Or
that
12,
hydroscape,
yeah, for a
right?
little bit, yeah. But I mean, the whole thing needs to be addressed.
I think but what Revi invoiced us for was $1,800, but again, we have a conversation because I thought it was a larger area than the area that got done. So we need to have a conversation with them about
Okay.
it being more than that bird front area.
Okay. I would suggest that we put that back on the agenda as an agenda item versus something in a report.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's gonna come back up tonight.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it is? All right. Clerks, Pam's got a report in the packet. Any other questions? Don't bother her. It's election time. So she's got her hands full and we're also a person down. So, and I know we have a lot of volunteers, so that's really neat. So, good. Anything you want to add, Pam? No? Okay. Finance, Jessica, anything? No? Good. 30 fire and EMS, Chief
I have
Finke.
two quick things. We have a promotional process this week, Thursday for an engineer. And we did get our ISO. We had an ISO survey back in August. We got results of that back today. We got moved from a 3 to a 4. Myself and Eric have a meeting with them later this week to kind of go over the numbers of that and see if we can dispute that change.
That's that regression thing? Yeah. I didn't, until I started seeing other people in there, I thought, oh, scam, this is nothing. Also, I was trying to figure out who to vote for, but it didn't go there until I saw more names. All right, thank you. Sean, Park and Rec.
I did have a report in the packet. I also have a 3D rendering and our plan. We do have an open house next Tuesday at 4:30, or not open house, but a groundbreaking.
Right.
And this is the 3D rendering that will be depicted on the sign that goes to Kennedy.
Thank you.
I know Jamie's seen it a few times.
A few.
Holy mackerel.
Here's a nice big one for you.
Thank you.
And that will be part of the sign that will be posted at Kennedy Park as far as the groundbreaking process. Does anybody else want a copy? Got a few extras.
Let's give one to. If somebody wants one.
Thanks.
Yeah. Whoever, yeah. Travis going? Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay, any questions for Sean? Jim?
Yes. When will the plans for Kennedy be complete?
So the goal is to get the construction documents for, to be completed based on the contract with REI this month. So the, soil borings are supposed to take place either today or Friday of this week, which should allow them to complete the, actual plans.
If we don't have 100% plan, how do we break ground? I get it, we gotta move topsoil and.
Yeah, we'll be doing the groundbreaking with village equipment as far as actually breaking ground. For the groundbreaking next Tuesday.
Okay, so we're just gonna go there and push the dirt, but we really don't have a plan, right?
Well, we have a plan, it's just not 100% and it has not been put out yet and awarded to anybody yet, so.
What they're gonna build, they're gonna groundbreak for which part of?
Phase one, the field to the south, the one along the creek, between the pool and the skate park.
This.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got a couple. How much money has been raised to date for the project?
Nothing, the capital campaign kicks off next Tuesday also.
And. Cause I'm not, but you're comfortable with. Starting a $15 million project with no dollars?
So there has been funds dedicated by the village board for the start of phase one.
Right.
ARPA funds, yes, there's 766,000, yep, as Jamie just said. And we expect that project for the most southern field should come in less than that, should be, we're estimating around 600,000-700,000. But we won't know till that's bid out.
So if it's 700,000 for that, how much for planning and the bids and the construction documents?
So the construction documents have already been funded as far as part of the ARPA funding also. The only thing is Michael and Ike would put together the actual documents, put the project out for bids, and based on our discussion, probably 2 days for us to get it out the door once the documents are complete.
Yeah, I mean, permits have been submitted to the DNR, so part of the holdup is getting DNR approval on everything too, since we are working by a creek and some other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so the plans could be done, but we're still on a holdup for making sure we have the permits from the DNR.
So. How many parking we have there?
I'd have to bring up the master plan that actually showed the amount of parking, but we did have a dedicated amount of parking for each parking lot. But it's on the master plan, not this 3D rendering.
So it's good to know that number. And see how they come out with the number to see if there is sufficient parking or not.
Yeah. Have all the playgrounds been paid for in full?
They have.
Okay. When will the playgrounds be replaced which were damaged by negligent transport or installation?
So we did get a response from Minnesota, Wisconsin last week. They are working with Game Time on anything that would need to be replaced. They did do a site visit here, which I noted in my report. I met with them as they inspected all the playgrounds, took pictures, documented all of our concerns, which we had documented for all 7 of the playgrounds. Submitted them to them. They came and did a site visit, and I met with them. We went over our concerns on all of it, and they're working with the supplier at this point. Because of the chain of supply, along with the handling of it, there are multiple people that could be involved in the damage that occurred. Came from the factory damage, could have been in the shipping company, could have been us unloading it, could have been the installers, it could be kids doing the damage. So, unless you were firsthand seeing it leaving the factory out of Alabama, you don't know when that damage occurred. So that's what we're working on with them right now.
So you have this punch list, you physically you met them on site?
We met them on site. We sent all the documented pictures that staff took to them. We have that all on a OneDrive file if you want to see everything we
Can
documented.
you please provide the Parks Committee and board with a copy of that list or a link to it?
Yep.
Okay. Will what will the playground company be refunding the village after the pieces are repaired?
Refunding?
Refunding, right, like we bought playground equipment that wasn't damaged equipment was installed. We've had damaged equipment for however long, you're likely not gonna fix it before winter, maybe they will. So we didn't get what we paid for. What are they going to pay us back in lieu of, or what will they discount the price of? You paid $750,000 for this playground equipment. Well, we actually sold you scratch and dent stuff, so we'll sell it to you for 600.
I think that the company has come back and said that they will make it right. I don't know that a number's been put to that or could be put to that, but they said they'd make it right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Okay, we're moving back to planning development. Jen,
I don't have anything additional.
okay, anything else? Anybody? Police.
I just have a report in the packet. Numbers are pretty consistent for the last couple months. We've had 2 serious pedestrian crashes in the last couple weeks here. One was on a skateboard, one was on a bicycle. So we're still waiting to find out the condition of each one of those 2 individuals. And the state is taking care of, State Patrol's doing the recon on it. So they came in to investigate both of them to help us with it, so.
Okay. Hello? Anything about the Monster Bash? I mean, what? I mean, we're not gonna talk about that?
Bring that up.
I heard it was out of control. I heard there was kids everywhere. Kids getting sick. They couldn't go to bed at night. They had so much candy. I mean, what the heck?
Monster Bash went over good.
Yeah,
They sold out of most of the food at the Everest Optimist stand. Bounce houses were great.
yep.
So it was about a $12,000 night for us, and I don't know how many kids came through. We didn't keep track of them, but there was a lot, so.
Heard a lot of happy ones, so it's good stuff. Very
I'd like to
good.
hear more from the community on how they felt about it.
Yeah. I waited up all night for you to call me and you never called.
What's that?
I waited up all night for you to call me and you never called.
Safer was there, and we had
Yeah,
a couple minor incidents, but nothing major, so
all right.
everything went good, so.
Good stuff, really good stuff. 34, Public Works.
You skipped number 32.
32, Planning Development. No, talk to Jen. Yeah, you wanna talk to her?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, Jen said all good, yeah. Police, yeah, Public Works, Michael, anything to add?
No, leaf pickups going, so.
Mhm. Good. I like it that I'm always at the end. I enjoy being at the end, so we have more time to fill our curb. 35, Nate, Technology. Thank you for the noticeable difference in the volume, so that's good. And you did what you did, you just moved back a little bit?
No, we just adjusted some of the levels.
Oh, okay, all right, good. Well, it's noticeable, so good. Any more for Nate? Technology, anybody? No? Okay, we got a long agenda, so where are we on the agenda for the 2 groups here? Jen, where would Lynn and Ed be? Yep. Do we have something on?
No,
I thought we had something for this meeting here for ordinances.
no, that's gotta go through plan commission yet.
Ah, that's my mistake. I thought it was October, my mistake. So,
No, we're still developing it.
yeah, it's gonna be in planning, so it'll be the second Monday
Yeah, I'll let you know.
of November.
I'll
Will
call and
you?
let you know.
Will you? Okay. I'm glad I said something, otherwise we'd have waited here to the end, so that's my fault then, so. Yeah, okay, thanks. Something on the agenda for?
Yes.
They are, Yeah, they
so I
are.
thought- Yeah,
they are number 53.
yeah, so what, if the board will go along with this?
Knowledge departments quick.
Acknowledge 27 through 35 concurrently.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. So, acknowledged by Pincinel, second by Cronin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carries. Thank you. If the board will.
Suspend the rules. to
Suspend the rules
number
and-
53
and move to
forward on the
53.
agenda.
Yep, thank you. So 53, discussion and or action on recommendation of the plan commission to amend the site plan and TIF development agreement for multi-tenant commercial development at 2302 Schofield Avenue, Lock redevelopment project number 202-40110. Yep.
Move to approve the new landscape plan and elevations as presented with a modification to the development agreement, reducing the TIF funding for the project to a maximum of $25,000.
Motion by Pincinel on the made, and so your change is the change of TIF is to 25,000
Right.
from
450.
for indefinitely or just the first payout?
No. To amend the development agreement as
Okay.
presented,
Okay,
to change the TIF award to $25,000.
I guess I'll look for a second first, but my question would be, well, wait, do you want a second? Let's see if we can get a second.
Can we input?
Yeah,
first?
just hold on.
Okay.
So, looking for a second. Looking for a second. Looking for a second. So the motion fails. Now on the question, so is that what planning, said to reduce the TIF?
No, planning, so, and Jen, I don't wanna step on you if you
No,
wanna.
that's okay.
But planning's direction was to approve the landscaping. We did not approve the new elevations.
Okay,
That's what the direction from
Yeah,
planning.
that's all
was.
they did.
and what are we doing with the elevations?
So right now, they're not approved, so that's a discussion point
Okay,
for the board.
okay,
Their development agreement would be the past version, so, we're just asking for you to revise the landscape plan, because the plan commission agreed to that.
right,
The development agreement is out there. They are here to kind of talk about it. What they did was they changed the elevations, or they would like to change the elevations. They do not meet, I guess, the spirit of what was originally approved, far enough off of that. So the plan commission decided not to approve a change there. So it's a discussion point here.
and this is, on the new build?
Yes,
Because
and
it's-
I-
Instead of new build.
just, that decision at planning was unanimous as well. I just wanna throw that out there.
Okay,
I know, Joe, I don't think you were at that meeting.
Or I was not.
But
so now do you wanna just talk? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. So what are our thoughts on the land, on the elevations? It's not apparently in our code. And, not meeting the brick, not meeting stone, what?
can we, I know they wanna say.
That's what I want that to start, yeah, I'm just trying to get it started, yeah. I don't know if you guys are gonna start something or what, Rob, go ahead, guys.
Sure, our understanding at least of the denial is maybe.
Order, Mr. President, you have
What's
the
that?
name,
Oh,
name and
sorry.
address, the record,
I'm,
please.
I'm sorry, name and address for the
Yeah,
record?
Steve Steer, I'm,
Mhm.
partner with Raleigh.
Yep, yep.
On the project,
Your address, please, Steve.
I'm sorry.
Address, please.
My home
Jim,
address-
I'll handle this, okay? Seriously, no, seriously, Jim, I'll handle it. Your name and record, name and address for the record.
Address, 5715 Old Coach Road, Wausau.
You're both welcome to come up to the table if you wanna sit down up here too. It's up to you.
Thanks.
Yep, okay. Mhm. Now go ahead.
Yeah, so we understand we presented a while back, some elevations with materials which were approved, and we've been just kind of trying to tweak the project as we go. I think if I understand right, the discrepancy now is maybe we're off on the percentages of decorative materials or whatever, and we're fine with adjusting back to meet that, so these are just things we proposed, so we just thought we would dial in the color and the look and present it, and we felt like it was and we've adjusted, the landscaping was part of this. We removed some of the hardscape in front and added some green space, and so just in our mind, it was a thoughtful presentation that we thought improved the look of the building overall.
So Steve, what did planning have?
I think the main thought at planning was that we just wanted to see the elevations come back so that they fell within what the code allowed.
Yeah,
Is that
so-
correct, Jen?
So Carrie did an analysis, and it starts on 467, where she kind of explains, it does meet code, but it does for size, mass, facade changes, proportion. There are two sides that do not meet the 40% brick, and that is the north and the west elevations. And then the exterior finishes have been simplified considerably and lack the enhancements that were previously submitted. So they did remove some of the, and Roman can kind of go into it a little bit more, but some of the columns that you saw in the original features for this have been removed. The materials are different than what were originally proposed. So the Plan Commission chose not to recommend approval of allowing the change. Some of it was that this was, it was a redevelopment project, but it's also receiving TIF funding. So you base that TIF funding off that original elevation that was given.
Well, what's our solution? Yeah.
Do you know what's the cost difference?
We didn't get any of that information. That would be something that they would have.
Yeah, if you want to make an adjustment to your cost, sure. You should be kind of close to the adjustment to the.
Well, and that's kind of why we brought it back. If you guys want different numbers, because you originally saw the numbers for the project, when you gave that original funding.
Go ahead, Ron. Yeah.
Trustee of Rothschild.
Mhm.
Yeah, just number one, I want to apologize for us not being at the planning commission. That was our bad, so we should have been there. So this wouldn't be at this point, so I truly apologize for that. The design changes are really driven off of, as the plans, we got the building started roughed up. It's a lot busier than what we thought it was gonna be. So all of our changes are just to try to modify it to make the building look better. For obviously for us and the community. There's no cost savings in what we're doing too, as far as that.
Okay.
We're not saving any money by what we're doing, but so basically the whole intent is just to make the building look better. But here again, we will abide by all your codes, percentages, so there's nothing, whatever we need to do, we'll do, hands down. Even if it's not what we want to do, we're here to do what you want to do, so that's not.
Well, we want to work together. You know,
Yeah,
we're partners in
I'm
this.
saying we're
Gonna grow together. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Spirit is there is to do that.
Yep.
So.
You had something, Roman?
Jamie, if you could scroll back up, please. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna just assist the board with what. Scroll down a little bit. This element here, with the columns that they've reduced this. So we were trying to be proactive to make sure that what ended up on site was what was approved. So there's a change here. Ultimately, the facade doesn't look any different from a structural standpoint other than these columns that were removed. And then there's some material changes going with, there is some McElroy metal panels that are identified up here, and this is the original. So, and then there's more McElroy metal panels over here, which, correct me if I'm wrong, those McElroys on the south elevation have been removed, correct?
Yeah, it's now like a diamond coat siding product, both the horizontal and the vertical. So it's, I know, it's more of a natural product than a metal product.
That's good stuff.
Still very high quality products, not inexpensive products.
And with the columns, we could certainly, we just haven't installed the two extra non-structural, and we thought that's like about I don't know, it's probably about an 8-foot long, 2-foot high base to there. And the thought was, well, the balance of that, the other two columns are like 2x2. And so where this one on the right is, that's kind of 2x2, but there's about 6 feet then of that same elevated base our idea was just that would become a planter or something. That'd be more green. And worse is the columns, but.
Yeah, we're more willing to go back. Work on the picture, we actually had to look better with all. So this is all about aesthetics.
Well, you went from 3 to now 4. So, I mean.
No, there was
5.
Oh, to 5. Okay, so it was 3, now it's 5?
How many was the original?
There was four,
Oh, I thought it was
four here and then one on the other side of this door.
No, I'm talking about
3 units.
entities.
It was 3
Tenants.
Tenants, well, yeah, we had a little disruption.
Yeah, that's fine. So you had 3 and you went to 4.
We've added 5.
Okay. And so that, I can see how that might look a little busy if you're trying to differentiate each one.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
we had to create more entrances, which added more, to your point, added more to the front building, so it did change a little bit of our thinking there.
Yeah.
Fortunately, right now, we're queued up. I think we have all 5 tenants lined up, so that's the
Okay.
good news.
Awesome.
And they're all tenants that you'll, the community and
Nope.
you'll love.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's all good. We have the one that everybody knows about, Firehouse. We have another national franchise that will be signed at least this week, and we have really some really good quality tenants.
Good.
So we're excited about all that. And again, there's a lot of thought put in this building. It's not, you see, it's not the typical looking building. So we want it to look right. We're open to everyone's input. Again, I mean, that's necessarily, because again, it's just this all, we want the people in the area to like it. You know, not even, obviously, we're building it, but still, we're open to any and all ideas.
So where do we go from here? Yes,
Just,
Shane?
so if there's no difference in the cost, there's no need for adjustment to the TIF money.
Correct.
Right.
So
It's
That's
just
just-
determining the elevations.
right, that's what I was trying to make.
Yeah, no, great point. We're, like I say, we just need to understand what the requirements are, and we're willing to follow. We'll follow the rules part.
Well, I guess my question is, what was the planning commission? I mean, they recommend approval for the landscape and denial of the revised elevations. I guess, what was their reasoning?
The north side and the west side, correct? Did not meet the elevations.
Yeah, they did
The
not meet
elevation.
40%
So that would really be the only
enhanced
thing that needs to be
materials.
addressed.
So north side's the back side.
And we didn't really
And what other
have
side?
an idea of what the ribbed metal charcoal siding was. She has that listed as that it's not a comparable material. So I think some of it, it wasn't labeled. So we didn't exactly know what you were using for, it just said metal, so that was something I think.
Yeah, it was, I mean,
Yeah,
it
again, our
wasn't
bad
identified.
for not being able to be there and otherwise.
How do we move this forward?
I just questioned, you know, if the planning committee has a more depth in discussing and looking at what's there. I guess I.
Well, my concern is that, do we hold it up by going back to planning and then coming here again?
How soon before you guys are gonna be installing the exterior of that building?
Well, we're ready, so.
You're on it right now.
This is, and probably our. You know, if I could say, I don't know if you can even approve part of it, like, let's say you're okay with the south elevation as far as the materials there. We'd love to be able to get everything wrapped up on the public side, or at least Firehouse, so we can get them and settled. So, I mean, if that's an option to say, okay, the front elevation, we can discuss the columns or whatever, I guess, but.
Jen, I mean, as long as they get updated plans into you, can it just be a formality in November, as long as the elevations are met? Cause it's, as far as I'm concerned, that was the only concern.
So we just need it for when we close out the project, and that's not gonna be until spring anyway. We just need some guidance from you guys. I mean, you can send it back to plan commission.
Well, how, it's gonna go to planning possibly, but could it just go to you and Roman and work with them? And everyone, you four say yes. and-
We don't need to put a stop work order on it.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's not to that stage at all. I mean, it's,
I know, but if the question is what's gonna go on the building, and yes, no stop order, but now something goes on the building and you go, whoa, not that. So maybe we have the discussion before that, oh yeah, that's fine, you know, and they build quality stuff. I mean, you know.
yeah, and we wanted to, there was like they've said, the project has been evolving
Right,
for the
right.
last several months at a pretty rapid rate. So we wanted to make sure that as staff, we didn't want to say, oh, you changed the materials, no big deal. Well, we
Yeah.
really needed
Yeah.
to get in front of this
Yeah.
body before we did anything like that.
So how comfortable are you?
I'm comfortable. I think we should approve it with the updated landscaping plan. I would like to see it come back here, but I don't want that to hold you guys up. So as long as the planning department is okay with them getting a plan into them and letting them keep rolling, we can, as far as I'm concerned, we can have it come in front of us in November. I don't see a reason to schedule another meeting.
Is that doable?
It's gotta go back to planning.
It'll go to planning in November and then
To
come here.
meet the 40%?
What about the elevation?
on
And
those other sides?
whatever our code requires would be,
And I heard there were only 2 walls. that were dealing-
It was just the north and the west.
So they
Just two.
have freedom to do
Just
the
two.
other 2 walls.
Yep.
yeah.
Those 2 walls will be resubmit just so that it works with everybody's. happy
Good.
with it. Yeah, okay. Can do that.
Good.
We can do that right away.
Yeah.
The fortunate thing, even, I think we're trying to get fire subs in there, what, by opening November? December?
End of November.
Yeah.
So that's not too far. yet,
Okay, good.
Which is exciting.
Rock and roll. All right, so we're good?
Yep.
What, do we need a motion?
I move to amend the development agreement to include the updated landscaping plan.
Okay. Elevation. No.
Well, hold on a second here. I thought is this gonna come back in front of us in November? Or do you want it to be approved here?
It's up to you. I mean, you're amending the development agreement based off of, I mean, if you want
I'm not-
conditions on it.
So I'm not willing to make a motion on this tonight without seeing that updated plan with the elevations on it. I understand you guys are willing to do that, and I want you to keep rolling with your project. That's why I asked, are you comfortable?
The plan commission will look at it on the 11th. That's only in a few weeks
Yeah,
anyway.
Okay,
Good.
so tonight then, I think all we can do is include the updated landscaping.
Okay.
And then we can work with them in the next couple weeks
Okay,
to get those plans for plan commission.
so I move to amend the development agreement to include the updated landscaping plan.
Second.
Motion by Cronin to update the landscaping plan, second by Zagami. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Carried, yes or no? Aye, so 6-1. We're back to full strength. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, very much, thank you.
Appreciate all your.
Thank you, guys. The project does look good. I
Yeah, no,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
All right, let's see, suspended rules back to 36, thank you. Work product incidentals, 36. Acknowledge September building permits and possibly acknowledge September budget status.
Move to acknowledge 36, 37, and 38 concurrently.
Oh, and 38, yeah.
And request the code enforcement report is rotated 90 degrees in future packets to promote comfort and prevent workplace injuries while attempting to read it.
Yeah, it's not funny, Jen. It hurts my eyes. All right, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I'll let Carrie know.
Yeah. Yeah, oh boy. Anyway, okay, so motion by Pincinel for 36, 37, and 38 with the correction of the readability. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Cronin. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Consent agenda.
Mr. President. can
Yep.
you Just.
Yep.
Yeah. In that minute, could you state it? They said there was no change in the construction cost of the project. Please.
Okay. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve 40 and 41.
Motion to approve 40 and 41 by Ermeling. Second by Pincinel. Anything on the discussions? Hearing, is that wine new? Were they just beer before? I thought they were everything.
No, so the law changed. Now you
Ah.
can have a wine license if you're not a restaurant. So
Gotcha. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Ordinances 43, ordinance 24-015. An ordinance to amend provisions within chapter 94 of the municipal code to update any references to the disbanded Everest Metro Police Department within sections 94.4.6 parent 3, personal storage facility, 94.4.10 parent 13, temporary sales by mobile food vendors, and 94.8.11 administration and enforcement of code within the shoreland zoning regulations. Section 94.11.02 landscaping requirements, section 94.12.08 access and driveway standards, and section 94.17.04 definitions to add a definition of sign. Definitions to add a definition of sign. Interesting. Alteration in the village of Weston and the extraterritorial zoning area of the town of Weston. What's your pleasure?
I move to approve ordinance 24015 as presented.
Second by, motion by Cronin, second by Pincinel. Any more in discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. 44, ordinance 24-016, an ordinance to amend provisions within chapter 54, fences and miscellaneous provisions, section 54.113, unauthorized persons to school property, building, access, and security. What's your pleasure?
This is just pretty much an amendment to the ordinance.
Okay.
It just is changing if someone leaves a door open at a premise like the senior high school. Then we actually have some teeth in it that we can issue a citation. What's happening at the school right now is people are opening doors and letting unwanted people into the schools.
Oh, okay.
So, but the way it came through is it's open to any person, not just a student, and it is open to other locations within the DC Everett School District, so.
Thank you for clarification.
Move to approve ordinance 24-016 as presented.
Motion by Pincinot, second by Ermeling. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 45, ordinance 24-017, an ordinance to adopt provisions within chapter 54 offenses and miscellaneous provisions, section 54.203, sexting prohibited by FARF. Oh, I'm sorry, sexting prohibited, period. That's where it stops. I ad-libbed there.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ermeling,
Second.
second by Zagami. I can't help myself. I'm so bad. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 46, ordinance 24-018, an ordinance adopt provisions within chapter 82, traffic and vehicles, section 82.113, operator's license required. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve ordinance 24-018 as presented.
Motion by Pincinot,
Second.
second by Wyland. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolutions, 47. Resolution 2024-020. A resolution to approve addendum number 4 to Stone Gate condominiums.
Move to approve resolution 2024-020 to approve addendum number 4 to Stonegate condominiums.
Motion to approve by Pincinel. Second by Wyland. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 48, resolution 2024-021. Resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed 12,135,000 general obligation promissory notes series 2024A. Motion to approve by Ermeling. Second by Zagami. Anything on the discussions?
If there are any questions, Harry from Ellers is also joining us virtually and would be available for questions.
Any questions for Harry?
I do believe the sale, Jess can correct me if I'm wrong, is gonna happen then November 20th. So we would need some paperwork signed on November 20th.
Okay.
This is handled a little bit differently than past years in the past. The board actually approved the sale on the day of the sale, but we have chosen to have the sale on like a Wednesday, so the board is basically approving that Jamie or I can actually approve the sale on the day. So
We have motion and a second on the floor, and no more discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 49, resolution 2024-022, a resolution amending the village fee schedule. What's your pleasure? Motion to approve by Zagami. Second by Ermeling. Any more on the discussion? Jim?
Yes. Page 414, alcohol liquor license. So we charge $25 for a background check on page 423 in another section. I assume the same police department is doing a background check for alcohol and liquor licenses. But we only charge $10 or $15 for a temporary or provisional license. Do they not get a background check?
We do background checks for operators, yes.
Okay, so if our cost is our cost, but if we're billing someone else farther down the fee schedule, $25 to do a background check, shouldn't we be building that into our fees? Or,
I believe that those fees are statutory. But I'd have to double check on that. I know for liquor licenses, you can only charge the actual cost of, that's part of the statute there. I thought for operator's license, and I'm sorry, I'd have to look it up, but I thought that there is a certain cost that, or no, I guess it is something that's set by the by the board, by the municipality. I'm trying to remember. I can look into that a little bit more, but I know we're,
So it could vary to the municipality.
I was trying to remember if the fee that we charge an operator is something that was set by the state, by statute. I thought it was at first, but now when I think about it, I don't think it is. I think it's something that's set by each municipality, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Is the question though provisional or temporary because they're less? Cause would it be
Well,
that
a
you would
pro-
take a new application for the 45 and you would get a provisional for an additional 50?
Well, the provisional cost is only to carry them over until it is, so if somebody comes in and they want a bartender's license and they need it right away, and we have to do the background check and everything, so we do not give them the operator's license until we do the background check. But if they need it right away because they can't serve without having it, and there's nobody else in the building that will be there to have that license, then we give them the provisional.
But it's
until
not-
we get the background check done.
It's not just the 15. You would be paying the 45 plus the
Plus the
15.
15, yep.
So it would cover the cost of the 25 because they pair together.
Thank you. What's a direct seller daily permit?
So a direct seller permit is for when someone comes in like to do a door to door. Like Edward Jones has gotten them there was a solar company that did the direct seller. So if somebody is going to come in to sell goods for a company and they're gonna go door to door, then they would get that direct seller permit.
They have to have something to show, because that just came up. I actually got a call on that, whether we actually okayed that, and I called.
We have to get a
here,
background check on
And you
that.
you actually did, and I was actually quite surprised, and it was solar, so.
It was.
And that's, so again, that's only $5, but if we're doing a background check, is that $25 built into there? Do we need to revisit that fee? And I mean, what's the staff time for a $5 permit? It would take 10 minutes at least for you to take this thing from phone call or email or whichever to a guy walks out the door with a permit. What's $5 get you? 38 seconds in your department? Like, no way.
I can look into those fees.
Thank you. Page 419. Occupancy reinspection. Each subsequent visit. I think we talked about that some last time of if you fail and continue to fail, you should be incentivized to not have to keep calling Roman. It would cost you more every time you come see them.
Would you like to see a tiered approach to that?
Yes. Page 420, cell phone tower, class 1, strike 500 and insert 1,000. Class 2, strike 200 and insert 500.
Oh, that's just your suggestion or what?
That's my suggestion and recommendation, sure.
We look those up. Are those, can we set the fee on those? Okay.
Okay, what was your answer?
Jen Sugarhead, yes, that they can be whatever fee we say.
They're not set for statute.
And the reasoning to double those is. Jim?
We have a budget shortfall.
I know, but Jim, you know, the board acts together. And I guess I'm gonna ask the board, do you agree with doubling a 500 to 1,000? And what was the other one?
200 to 500.
Yeah, 200 to 500. I mean, I guess I haven't even thought about it.
Which one was the 200 to 500 for?
Class 2 antenna.
Cell phone or cell tower class 2 modification.
Okay. And the 5 to 1,000 was which one?
Was a class 1 modification or to the cell phone tower.
To a cell tower.
Those I'm not, I mean,
I'm not either. I'm actually
personally,
not.
me.
I don't think we're getting out of what we should be getting out of those.
A reinspection, especially if you're a repeat offender, to me, that's something that, yes, we should charge for. Because that is 110% in that person's control. I mean, just charging a fee because you can charge a fee. Sorry.
Okay, go on, Jim.
Page 421, same thing with that tiered approach on the Re-inspections there.
421, got it. Okay,
We're gonna see this come back though, correct? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I would think.
I don't wanna like approve it tonight if there's.
I don't think we can until it comes back. Page 422, swimming pool portable, strike word fee and replace with permit required. If the intent is to have a permit for them, we should have a cost covered for the permit. Or are you actually going out and inspecting a
On a portable
kiddie pool?
removed annually, no.
Okay, so then.
It's just, that was just a clarification in the pool permits. That's why it was in there.
They don't take a permit.
Yeah,
So then can we just change it instead of no fee? That's, I said, strike the word fee and replace it with permit. So just have it no permit. But it's not even, then there's no
Yeah.
question. It's just, if I'm going through this fee schedule and I'm putting up my kiddie pool or I'm putting up my in-ground swimming
Yeah.
pool, I can look at this and see what we gotta work with. Ponds decorative, same thing. Strike the word fee and replace with permit required. Meaning no permit required, because we don't, I don't think we do pond permit, right? Or
Not for decorative pond.
Yeah, okay. Page 423, lawn mowing. Strike the word at and insert $100 plus. We talked about this before where Jennifer wasn't going to be the general contractor for everyone's lawn mowing services for free. You can't just charge the cost of what it costs for Riverside to come and cut the thing. We incur costs as staff to send out all the notices and all that other jazz. You have to recoup some of that cost, otherwise Jennifer can just send Riverside to everyone's house and we can all send our lawnmowers back to Josh.
Disagree.
423, has the actual cost of copying been researched? So no modifications were made through those costs?
It was researched and we have to charge the actual cost.
And that's what I'm saying, that is the actual cost, very well. Same with GIS services, that number is legit. Hourly rate.
I mean, honestly, we probably haven't provided any of these services in 10 years. The way GIS services are provided are very different, so we probably could strike a lot of these amounts out. I can look at them before next meeting.
Thank you. That's all I have.
thank you. So,
I don't think we can approve, can we? Was there a motion to?
we've got to get a new resolution to all these fees changes? Yep, and then present at the next board meeting? Okay, yes?
There was a motion.
Yeah, withdraw.
Yeah, we have to withdraw the motion.
I draw a motion.
Okay, withdrawn by Zagami. Who was two? Was it Cronin? Barb, okay.
Been so long, I forgot what I did.
Okay,
I withdraw.
okay, so now we're gonna move this to the next board meeting. Yes? Okay. All right, 50, unfinished business, discussion and or action on zoning ordinance, general signage regulations applicable to all zoning districts regarding flag signage prohibition.
Motion to leave the ordinance as is.
Motion by Cronin to leave ordinance as is,
Second.
second by Zagami. On discussion?
Well, sure.
Yep.
So first off, we wouldn't need to make that motion because that would not be productive. We're not actually making a change.
I'm just following what the recommended language in the packet was.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask that the flag sign prohibition is lifted. And I think that, the fact that 2 4x8 banners are allowed, which also move, our banners are not stationary. They're not made out of original material, they're made out of fabric or they're made out of plastic. And flag signs are significantly smaller than 4x8. Everyone here knows this. I don't know what makes them offensive. It's because they have round corners or allegedly distract drivers. I don't think so. I think texting and driving is probably more distracting than a flag sign. The police chief may be able to weigh in on how many traffic crashes the department has responded to related to flag signs causing a driving distraction. But without any hard data on that, I think it's just a speculation, right? There's been over 20 flag signs in the village of Weston in the last 4 months. and I had a meeting with some of the planning department here. And learned that it's extremely time consuming for the planning department for all code violations. And I'm not sure what that time commitment is, but let's just say it's 2 hours per violation. To contact the property owner, visit the site, follow up and see if the compliance has been, if the site is back into compliance. And that's without having law enforcement involved or going to circuit court or any of that other jazz. So if that's 20 complaints, times 2 hours, it's 40 hours, it's an entire week, Carrie's week, right? That's crazy. And during that week, she can't do other productive stuff like work with this lockery project or do any of these other projects. So it actually really doubled the cost because now we've got to contract those services out.
I think you made your point. How much more?
I'm not done yet.
I know, but how much more? I mean, because this ain't gonna come up every board meeting. And the planning commission has recommended.
Twice,
action
and it was unanimous.
twice. We've got a motion and a second on here, and I think right now you're just laboring the issue. You're not getting your way. And how much more, what more new stuff are you gonna bring up to try to change this? Because right now we have a motion and a second,
Sure.
and I believe we should go to vote.
So, yeah, so I did have the floor and so I'd like to finish, please.
Is there a call to vote? Is there a call?
So I'd like
to
to
make that call. So there's a call on the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
So carried, 5-2. Thank you. All right, let's move on here. I think it would help if maybe a certain individual wouldn't be calling them all in to push this on ourselves, including his own place. 51, discussion of expanding East Nick Avenue.
President Maloney,
Yeah,
can we hold off on that one? Gary's
Sure.
on his way here.
sure, that's fine.
We need to make a motion to.
We're just gonna leave 51 alone.
Okay.
50, we, it was a 5-2 vote. 52, discussion and or action on president's.
They're on their way in. They were just at Chronometer.
Perfect timing.
If you want to sit up front here, gentlemen, go ahead.
What's that?
We're actually on 51, discussion of expanding East Nick Avenue.
Come on up to the
So
table.
if you want to sit up on the front table, that's fine. Mhm. Honestly, we just got there, so. If you want to welcome our new trustee,
Mr. Jordan.
so, yep. Put him to work right away, sworn in, put him in there, so. All right.
Name and address?
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, you two, I'm not splitting you two up. All right, yeah, well, I don't know, they're really not, testifying or anything like that, right? Or
What they're talking.
do we want, yeah, okay, if you're talking, name and address for the record.
Kurt Seibert, 148-525 S'more Lane, Mosby.
Okay. And your partner?
He already said
You
it.
said it.
Oh, he did? Oh, that's amazing.
That one way over there.
Listening, okay. All right, discussion of expanding East Nick Avenue. We have quite a bit on our packet here about past history and different communities, but why don't you guys go ahead?
I guess just to get up to speed on where our position was last time we were in here, I think we were told that planning or that committee was go ahead, and I think he was given the authority to keep moving forward to try to communicate with Ringel and Reed on verification that if any of the properties along the boundary going out to J from the extension of Nick, if they were to access driveway access or want to buildable property or buildable site, because there's some wetland up on each side of that road extension, that the village would be able to assess them for frontage or right of way or for use of the road. And I think at that point, we were wanting to know as well, so we went and wetland delineations done. Then wetland delineations that get done towards the end of last year, and then I got off on the tangent on another project up part of the last 8 months. So I kind of left things to the side, and I was just verifying and checking to make sure before we go in through development of subdivision plan
or, well, it was really before the application for rezone on the gymnast 80 acres.
Yeah.
Right, so we weren't gonna bring it to apply for a rezone to R2 until we had kind of an idea of what the village was, direction of the village or the road, I should say.
Yeah, it was a little while. We just wanted, we just obviously wanted to make sure that everyone was still on the same page and it was still gonna be moving forward. And there were some change in board members, I believe, as well. Keith's no longer here. And I'm not sure where that got left off after, Keith had left. If there's any interest in moving forward on it. The reason why we wanted to do that, was to make sure we relieve the existing road going back out to Shorey if we were to do anything down there. And try to get anybody that would be in the existing East Nick section to go out to J to get to the highway or to get out of there sooner or easier than having to go all the way back down to Shorey Avenue. Come out that way. So we had, again, we would like to do a 80-acre subdivision on the western side, and then we have 110 acres on the southern side of the property that we were gonna do a rock quarry.
Cornwetter or Reed? Okay.
That we would do a rock quarry with eventual development of housing around pond or lake or whatever it may be.
So for the newer board members, if you take Kmitchik and onto Nick and then out to J, you get into a section about a quarter mile from J. Is that about right, Michael? It's about a quarter mile from J on where Nick should be. And at that intersection, there's not an intersection, but at that intersection, you now have the town of Ringel. You have the town of Reed, you have the village of Cornwetter and the village of Weston. And then a quarter mile farther to the east is J. So we did reach out to, at the time, Jackie Dolman, chairman, with Reed, and he was a no. I think we had him in here. Then he was a yes with if Mike Carter would allow that to be assessed. And because Mike Carter has all the land on the town of Reed side, right? Okay. Al Christensen said no from Ringel, but we had the landowner, Jerry somebody.
Oh, he sold it.
Oh, he did sell it now? Okay.
He sold that property now, archery.
So
The funny
what
thing is,
yeah, go ahead.
Prior to this, Mark, there's a little history behind it. We proposed this prior to, I forget his name, you just said it now.
Donner?
No.
Oh.
The gentleman that owns the 110.
Oh, Mike Carter?
Mike.
Yeah.
Mike ended up buying that property, and then 2 years later, Ringel and Reed, because we wanted to develop and extend that through there. And we were working with Ringel and Reed, we said we would cost share with them to extend a road. They hired MTS to do that, and that's where that bid came out. Bid tabs that are in here, bid tabs came out. They designed the road, the wetland delineations and such, to extend the road. And they called us 2 years after it was sold and said, "Hey, Gary, are you still interested in share cost on that extended road?" And I said, "Well, the property is sold now." And then later on, there was another 110 right next to it that we ended up acquiring. And when we went back to them, I think you were in those meetings in Croneweather. I think Jen and maybe Michael or Keith were possibly, I don't know, it was all there. Then they found out that just because they thought there's a road right away, that it's already a right of way. You can see it on the end of there. There's a right of way for it. They thought they were forced into having to build it, but then they found out that just because it's a right of way, they didn't necessarily have to build it. That's how.
And this is Cornwetter.
Oh, no, that was Ringel and Reed.
And Ringel Reed. And
Yeah.
but Cornwetter we kept hearing back from them that we want it so bad, we'll let them build it.
Yes.
And that was Joel, who was on the board and now he's off. And the administrator, but that's like 5 ago administrators. So I don't know where they sit now. And then who is the last Cornwetter resident that was building a house out there, Michael? Groshek. Okay, so there's like 2 out there now, but the last time I was out there with Scotty Tatro. And he said that several family members are gonna build on that side too. I just don't know if Cornwater can actually do that legally.
And was that past they approved culvert where Groshek would pull the building permit? Cause I thought there was one more past.
I think there's vacant property to the east of where the repair was.
Yeah.
That house, that was constructed in Cronawetter 2 years ago now, is right in that same vicinity of where Public Works did the.
So the hard
It
part,
was,
the hard part with that one, Roman, if we recall that, I can't think of the name, especially anyway.
Cronawetter?
Yeah.
Dwayne?
No,
Gow?
not the one.
No.
Anyway, when we called and said, who issued the permit for this house? And it was the acting administrator. And Downing.
Downing, it was Downing.
Richard Downing.
Downing and didn't tell anybody else,
He
but
didn't, he gave the building permit on
Yep.
himself.
Yep.
And he did not realize that road floods and they couldn't even get access to the house if there was an emergency.
Well, we spent the whole summer in there grading back and forth, back and forth. When I was out there one time with Keith and Scott, I mean, our grader was out there for a week. The gentleman that left us, I think that at the same time, we tried to keep him, tried to get him not to go to Marathon County as a shop guy or something. Remember him? I can't remember. Anyway,
Jason.
Jason, okay. And I don't know if Josh, if you've been out there, I mean, what kind of equipment can get out there or not get out there?
It's very well, I mean, in the spring, not much, you know, right now would probably be fine, but in the spring, it's pretty bad. I drove out there, not this past spring, but the spring before, and it was, I don't think you were gonna get any fire apparatus out there, to be honest with you, when I was out there.
I think we gotta put Cornwater on notice that, you know, before anything happens, that they're gonna be liable for this if they keep on approving building permits out there. Okay, so where are we? We'd have to bring up discussions again with the 4 communities.
Can't see us watching
Yeah.
the cost.
Steve, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I apologize because I talked to you and I know I talked to you about getting this on the agenda as well. I see there's some meeting minutes in here from April 15th that I apparently wasn't at. So there was a motion made. I don't know if you were at that meeting or not. There was a motion made back in April by Pincinel, seconded by Hardinger. Am I reading this correctly?
There was 2 motions, yeah.
To include expansion starting from the east side, working from County Road J to the west to whatever point where the potential subdivision would be, and only asphalt from County Road J to that point. And we had yeses from everybody except Mark and I, because neither one of us were here. So that's where we're at. That was the direction from the board, from us. So I guess I don't know where is staff at? Is there something else that needs to be clarified, or do we have to work with the other municipalities, or I guess where are we at?
Well, I guess from my standpoint, with zoning, we wouldn't want to do anything until we figured out the road. Cause we're not gonna want to rezone the property until that's figured out.
And I think our question with the extension of the road was the cost.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we haven't talked to Cornwater, you know, lately. We have to find out who to talk to and see if they'd be willing to share or talk or. Cause that before they kind of flippantly said, Weston wants it so bad, they'll just pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Tom Corman said they wanna, nothing to do with it.
And I went to Chris Ball too, and I talked to him too. And the board did not want him discussing without the board. So, yeah.
How far in off of J would we need to go?
A mile. 1 mile to the subdivision. To the center of that 80. 3rd mile is the road extension. And 2/3 of the miles to where the 110 will start on the other side of the road, on the other side.
Do you have any kind of cost numbers, Michael? For gravel? You know, to get that to gravel to J?
From like where I guess the unimproved road is.
You'd have to put a stake in the road somewhere and say, this is where it starts. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd have to go out there. I believe we're at almost the west property line from the other side, so that, I mean, we've got 3/4 mile gap from what is the joint Weston Cronewater boundary, so. I don't like just throwing a number off the top of my head, so.
I don't expect you to either.
Is that 3/4 of a mile for where you guys ended to where the unimproved road ends, or are you saying that's 3/4 of a mile all the way out to J?
No, it'd be 3/4 of a mile left in Weston, and then you got like I think it's 1/3 of a mile.
Yep.
And so, yeah, so it's,
Oh, from where you guys did some improvement with Cronewater just recently.
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we'd be looking to come in off J, so I mean, it's essentially that gap.
So Michael is gonna need the breaker run, then the base course.
Probably some
The way I
breaker in
remember
there.
we're talking about it's all soft material.
Yeah, when we rebuilt some of those sections with Cronewater after they gave out the building permits, some sections required breaker, some were okay if we just dug out the clay, we hit hard ground, we could put a sand lift in and build on that, so.
The design from 2015 that MTS did for that last section out to J was designed with a sand lift. Not saying that wouldn't work or whatever, I'm just saying that's what,
Yeah, it's just nothing but trouble, really.
yeah,
You can do it,
right.
but it's gonna be just extra money spending later on.
Yeah, I mean, especially if we're looking at something where it's gonna be a lot of heavy truck traffic, I guess, yeah, make sure we beef it up right away.
Okay. I think we have to open up some communication with some other municipalities too.
And I guess part of the discussion, if there's anything that, that you guys need from us as well.
Well, I guess I'm just curious, how do we move this forward? Cause there was some direction given by the board in April and it's kind of seems to have stalled out, so. Who's taking the charge on this and where do we go from here?
Again, how are we thinking of the cost of the road would work?
I can't see us putting a road in for another municipality.
It'd be good to have some cost sharing. I remember talking about this, 2 years ago? To, safety and, safety was extremely concerned. I think we had full support of the board to move forward. I think that was when Lauren was on. And Lauren said, for a long time, was always an issue. But, are we gonna build that road for 3 other communities? Probably not. So, if we can assess those 2 last properties, that'd be a whole different ballgame. But we gotta find out who to even talk to at Cronewater, so that we, let them know that this can't continue, especially with, what was that, Groschutz property? Yeah. So are we able to get at that property now, the last one? Okay.
I haven't been down there in months. I mean, we're no longer contracted service providers for Cronewater on an inspection standpoint, so.
Okay, but how about safety? It's Josh, that's our territory to hit for safety, correct?
On our side it is,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah. There's nothing there right now that's on our
I
side.
know, but so Cronewater has a fire in those last 3 homes. Who's going?
Cronewater.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, because that's not what was discussed back then. They said that we were cost sharing with the other part of Nick and that we would respond then.
If it's a EMS call or a structure fire in the village limits of Cronewater Fire is gonna be called.
They're going. Okay, or Riverside.
Even though they have to come way down into our area.
Or Riverside.
Boy, that seems like a big opportunity for some improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, the road should be okay to get to the driveway of whatever is built. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we built up to.
Okay.
Getting out of there and turning around might be an issue, but we'll be able to get there.
All right.
So I know we offered up to help pay for an extension of the 3rd mile extension, but I don't know where,
I think that's where Mark, from what I recall, you guys maybe talked with Cronin-Wetter about doing some kind of Jen, do you remember what it was? Something to do with some. Or that was, some, I don't know if it was a later assessment or, I just don't recall what it was, but.
I think some of the discussions too was surrounded by the road maintenance, snow plowing, that type of stuff as
Ringel and
well.
Reed said they would, from what I recall from that meeting, Donna Cronin-Wetter, they said they wouldn't want you guys to do the plowing because you go all the way down now, you're not gonna stop just to do a little bit. You go on the J and turn around, come back, so they would give you guys the mileage or whatever it would be.
Yeah, I mean, we charge them whatever it is, 10 minutes an
Would we-
event and.
Would we be able to charge Ringel and Reed? And Cronin-Wetter?
Well, so for snow plowing purposes, we plow East Nick and Cronin-Wetter plows Nick Ave.
Right. Okay,
So
that,
that's where that
agreement, yeah.
agreement is, as far as the street maintenance, snow plowing aspect is.
I think we have to.
Yeah, I agree.
Are we, can we get some preliminary costs put together, or do you have that, or?
I just pulled up something I put together last year, 2 years ago. For a gravel road, it was about 300,000 per half mile, so I mean, we'd be at about 600,000. Give or take for a mile,
Gravel.
a gravel road, correct.
Okay.
And that doesn't include any extra culverts or things like that we might need through that kind of wetland or
$1 million.
Old Junior Creek crossing,
What's
so.
What's
Well,
that?
we wouldn't necessarily need to blacktop that right away. It could be gravel. It could be gravel, correct? Until we get some development going in there. And we could come through a few years later and blacktop it. It doesn't all have to be done at once.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there's nothing built there yet,
If what?
if nothing is built and, you know,
Well, but that same reasoning, why is it still gravel from Kmitchik and Nick? And there are stuff built there. There's
we never
stuff,
rebuilt the road.
yeah, but I know, but then I guess talking about this road, we got Kmitchik and Nick sitting there right now. That's got buildings and residents on all over the place.
Is there an ordinance that prevents us from building that road as gravel?
Our own ordinance. We probably, would we be able to bring gravel to J, or would we have to blacktop a little bit first? Would the county scream that we've got gravel coming to a J?
Yeah, they're across the road.
What?
Yeah, they're across.
They have it right across the road?
Yeah, coming out of the first, you know.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
They do require, I think it's like a 50 or 100 foot kind of apron
Yeah.
track pad off, but
So that cost per mile, that 300,000 per half mile, is that full reconstruct or is that kind of a snapshot of what you guys did in the previous western part of East Neck?
it includes over excavation and bringing in sand and base course. So I mean, if there's breaker, that'd be an extra cost. Fabric would be an extra cost, but
What about culverts for, don't you have some water movement there?
yeah, culverts would need to be added in. So
How long ago was that?
Probably a year and a half ago, right?
2022, I put that together.
Are there grants available for rural areas like that? I guess you could kind of consider it.
Involving 4 municipalities? That ought to be a
To help-
no-brainer.
to help get something.
Put in some broadband in there for
I'm not aware of any grant that would be for housing,
Yeah.
farming maybe, but
New
not
roads
housing.
is kind of tough. I guess. I don't know where we're at with, I don't know what the timelines are. I don't know if that's a future rural, TID development or something where we'd be able to recapture. Cost once, houses are built, but that might be several years down the road before that would be available.
Do you have anybody in Cronin-Wetter that, you could talk to?
I haven't met any of their new people in a while.
I know. I mean, I can talk to Chris Vol, the president, but I just didn't know if you were talking to anybody else out there.
Their clerk had expressed that they are gonna do another search through another agency, so
I saw
But
that.
we could reach out to her and just ask where they are at with it.
Okay. I'll reach out to Chris too and just get it started up again.
Yeah, 'cause I mean.
And Al Christensen is not running for Ringgold, I understand. And I think Jackie's off. We'll have to find out who those two players are. And Jim?
How soon did you gentlemen want to develop this? I know this has been talks for a while, but it's chicken and egg, right? You gotta have a road before you can. But
Yeah, true.
like, are you ready to do this in spring or what does this
Well,
look like?
We pretty much need to know, I think Jen's gonna need to know as well, cause Kurt was all over that as far as rezone, cause I don't think it's.
I have to bring forth the comp plan amendment
Comp plan,
first,
yeah.
which is coming, yeah.
So I guess the biggest thing is we need to know, if it's something that's feasible to do. I think, talking about that future comprehensive plan, is that something that the village wants to see on their side of East Nick Avenue is development? I think that's a good spot to start.
I think that would be a
Well, the plan commission
great place for some.
talked about
It
it.
was gonna be large lots, correct?
Yeah,
How
I brought
big?
that forward to the plan commission.
How
and they
large?
already-
Yeah.
2 to 4?
Or
Okay.
two, so.
And initially it was like 5, but now 2 to 4. I think 2 to 4 is doable. Yeah.
Michael, out of that, so it was, you're saying about minus, I know we have to add some culverts and stuff in, but you were figuring 600,000 to go a mile. Is that, how much of that stretch is actually ours?
Well, half of 3/4.
Six divided by 1,000, right?
That's. Yeah,
0.375.
and the rest of it is Cronin, Reed and Ringgold.
Yeah.
Eagles this way, then Clux is up here. Highways here. You can walk right here. See it.
How much money are you guys willing to kick in?
So they go.
Yeah.
We put 100,000 towards it. But 90,000 or whatever. Oh, that's what Keith was saying, I think in some of those meetings, but it's. The original discussion was half the cost of the construction that was put out in 2015 was where the discussion started. And that contract was, we were, PGA was low bid on that bid, and I think the base bid was 133, so that's where we started with it. We talked later on that there was some price escalations and whatnot. So I think there was a max thrown out there of that 100,000-ish. The other thing too is, I don't know. I guess I got it quite with that. I'm just thinking that as far as, this has to go for public bid, and I mentioned that in there, because it's over $25,000. But if we have the permits in place for the quarry right next door, we've got the breaker rock and road face, so.
So no one can beat your transportation costs.
No, well, yeah,
You're right there.
we were already $50,000 lower, or was it 50 or 30, or I can't remember what it was, but depending upon what needs to be done here, if the village does this or part of the road, and then it's contracted out, the last third of a mile is contracted out, that was out for bid. I mean, we can work something out with the village on material costs, so it can be done a lot more cost effectively because we're right there in front of it, so. That was part of the whole scenario was if we built the subdivision across the road on 80 acres, we would go back in the woods on the 110, build the quarry, and that would be housed later on, housing around that pond. But then we could still keep the cost of the road down to a minimum by having materials almost right outside.
Yeah, it would be great if we could get this over to Jake. But until we can get Cronenwetter in on their half of the road, I can't see us going,
But if they're willing to kick in some cost and.
But we're gonna have to do that. After that, we have to deal with Reed and Ringo, and they're not interested. So that part of it, if we're gonna do it, is gonna be on our plate.
But if the landowner allows us to assess when it's developed, so if we can say to Croninwetter, we'll do this, but when land starts purchasing, when things start happening out there, we want to be able to assess that road back to those properties.
Should we assess the land which is in Cornweather or Ringo?
Well, I know Carter allowed it. And that,
Ringo and Reed were the ones that,
yeah,
said as long as it's not assessed up front,
right.
and somebody would wanna build. As actually Michael brought it up, you can get a permit to go through a wetland to build a home. Onto, and I think we even had some maps in here that showed. Town of Ringo has 11 acres, that's upland. On there, and where Jerry Morrison was. And then you're right, Mike does have that, he did buy that piece from Springers. So, those two were willing to do an assessment later on, but they didn't want to pay for it unless something were. Right. So,
Okay.
Cronewetter side of it, I don't know what to say besides if somebody wants to build at the end of the road, it's gonna be a hurry up and how the hell are we gonna get a road built for them? It's gonna be no different than what Cronewetter did with their building permits right now. If Mike wanted to pull a building permit off the end of the road, are they even gonna know any better than to get my permit again? Just like they did the other houses over here. They didn't even have a clue.
Who, Town of Reed, you mean, or who?
No, right?
Oh, Cronewetter?
Cronewetter gave the permit and then even Richard Downey gave the permit. They didn't even know.
But can they deny a building permit because?
No, but then that's what Keith and I, and Michael, I don't know if you're well enough. If somebody asks for a building permit on this road right now, you can't deny it, so then the cost has gotta be incurred.
So if zoning is okay? If the zoning is not okay, they can deny it, yeah.
Oh, no, you can build a home on there, Boucher.
Even if the zoning is not
Zoning is
correct.
okay to build a home. Single family. Yeah.
Just another
Yeah,
point.
go ahead.
So I've heard a couple comments that, well, we can't build somebody else's road. Well, at the same time, to some extent, this is also creating, not having it is, number one, it's creating some safety concerns. Whether it's our residents or Cronewetters or not, it's accessible from our area. And we have residents that it's creating safety concerns for. Number two, it still is kind of our problem because it's also inhibiting development by not having that road there. So I feel like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place here, and I'm trying to figure out a way to work around that. Whether it's the contractor kicking in funds to help with that, or there's a quarry there that, and I realize it's gotta go out to bid, but to your point, that it's gonna be hard to beat. So
You're right there, yeah.
I guess I'm just curious how we can.
Gentlemen, you're significantly more well-versed in development than I am, but out of this, I got page 458 up, if you can pull that up. That's all in Weston, right, on the north side of East Neck. I get it, you don't own all of this, you own some of this, that's fine. If this were all owned by you, or were all available to be developed, I mean, is this the next Sandy subdivision? I mean, is this 500 homes back here that can go back here, or this is like, nah, Jim, you're gonna put like 15 houses back here and that's it?
There's some fingers that are gonna allow some development in there, quite a bit of it. There's some wetland fingers that are gonna make it a little bit more difficult. Right? Whiskey River is that 340s or 440s, that's for sale right now?
Yeah. Village of Weston has 504 acres on the north side. Cronewetter has 569 acres on their side available for development. Not all of those are 100% out of. Hard to see. This map will show where some of the wetlands are on, where this finger comes down through here, where this finger comes down. So this is, all the purple is all.
It's all buildable. So I mean, what, 200 homes?
Well, it depends upon what size lot.
Sure, but
Yeah, I mean,
Water and sewer isn't down there, so the lots are gonna need to be bigger for private systems.
So I mean, quick math, I think our preliminary was 29 lots on 80 acres.
well, we had 20 and 20. We got a couple different layouts, so Mark, they were pretty close. There's three, between 2 to 5 acre lots.
Yeah, it's just the parcel you own,
What's that?
right? That's just the parcel you own.
Yeah, yep, there's another 80 that just sold right next to us, that they were gonna build and they ended up getting a house.
That's an accepted offer right now.
Accepted offer.
So Weston side, Weston side?
Yes.
Okay.
If we're gonna talk with these other municipalities, get some real cost numbers together right now that are a year and a half old. And do a little bit more discussion with these guys. How long does staff need to make that happen? I mean, could we a month back at the November meeting, or do you need a little bit longer than that?
I mean, we can contact them and just, I guess that's always a question is, are we gauging interest? Are we gauging their willingness to participate?
All of the above.
Cause I mean, kind of like what.
I guess we need some answers. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking. So I know a couple people have mentioned they don't know who they're gonna contact, so that's why I'm asking, how long do you need to?
If you gave us a month, we can give you an update. We can see how far we can get in.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a stab at a motion here.
So to answer Jim's question, that 504 acres, based on the density that we're thinking, you'd have about 126 homes.
And that's just in Weston. There's
Yeah,
there's
that's just
opportunity in
gas.
Coldwater, there's, yes.
And, you know, just putting a rough figure of $450,000 per house gets you a pretty good tax base. What's possible there?
What's the green section?
That would be
Green
Cronin.
section.
Corner side, yeah.
On the bottom side?
Yeah.
That's what's left owned of Grosheks. They used to own all 500 acres. That was gonna be their golf course.
Golf course, yep.
And that little blue section to the right of it, they just sold that, yep, right there. Bruce Gus owns a piece up in the front of there, and then that orange is.
On the corner side, Bruce does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he had his uncle or something that he got it from. And then the three, yep, those right there, that's the 110, and the kitty corner across the road is the 80 that we would subdivide. Right there, yep,
So this is just what we're talking about now.
yes.
This is where you're proposing 20 homes, is in this 80.
Who's in red to the east and west?
That is the one that's.
Jerry and Morris.
They just set an accepted offer.
Okay.
They were the ones that were gonna build it. Whiskey River is the one to the left in the purple. Yep. That's pretty wet. That gets down to where you're pretty wet.
Okay, you ready?
Sure.
I move to direct staff to work with the town of Reed, the town of Ringgold, and the village of Cronin to see what, if any, financial contributions they're willing to make to this project. Work with the potential developers to see what any sort of financial costs they are willing to contribute to this project. And bring this back to the board for the November board meeting.
Second.
Motion by Corman, second by Pincinel. Is a month too quick?
So we'll see how far we can get. At
Okay,
least we give
just,
an
so we'll
update.
just have an update in November. Okay, that sounds good. Any more questions? Any more questions? No? Hearing no more questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Do we need to be here for that?
I don't think
You could
so.
always
I mean, you could zoom
online.
in. You could zoom in.
You don't have to come in.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, so that was 51, that was there. 52, discussion and or action on president's appointments to committees and or commissions. So what do we have loose? We have finance?
Oh, that's a citizen.
HR, right? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, well, either way. Yeah, planning.
I was gonna bring that up.
Well, I wanted to just have it on here to see, I didn't know who would be selected. And there is no actual deal about 3 trustees on a commission or committee.
I
What is
thought
that?
plan was
think
2.
there
I thought that
is.
was set by.
I think it has to be 2.
It's
Yeah,
3,
let me read it.
it's 3. Who's saying it's 2?
Let me read
Because
it.
I went through this with a past administrator and I'm pretty sure I was right. It's not, it's maybe not advised, but I think right now, we can always move it around in the future. I just would like to move forward with a full planning commission and then maybe get our new trustee to jump on Public Works too. And give Jim a break.
I'm just grabbing some water quick.
Are you out of this conversation?
I'm just grabbing some water.
Oh, okay. So, but that would be the same night. It'd be Public Works and then go right to the
That
planning.
goes, yeah, that's first, right?
Yeah, Public Works is first, then go right in the planning, and then what I'll do is in the future, we'll try to see there, but I don't believe I've checked this out on 3. And,
Check the planning commission, because it's a commission, not a.
yeah, I have.
Yep, I'm just. Jen, do you know where it is quickly and is it in 94?
No, it's in 62.
How many people we have working on this right now?
Got it.
4.
Composition.
Nobody else wants to dig in this next.
Eat up on that,
I
Pico.
don't think it's, let me look if state statute.
Yeah, you better get at that Pico. Here comes Jamie. It's in the cooler. No, the Pico, it's Pico de Gala. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I
Oh,
know what you're talking about.
okay, it's in that yellow bag. And there's chips in there too.
Hold on, I see. Like my favorite. The 20. Yeah. Yeah, but it- I get the big one leftovers.
Shall always have at least 3 citizen members who are not city officials.
They'd be better.
So it has to have at least.
Sure, we cannot handle
I've received.
It doesn't yell. Yeah.
the signs.
Yes, Pico? Oh.
None of those really.
What's next over here?
Have they?
So I highlighted the mayor may appoint himself or herself to the commission. May appoint other city elected or appointed officials, except that the commission shall always have at least 3 citizen members who are not city officials. Citizen members,
So we're like over the limit with 4. We'll have 3.
At least 3, is that right?
I don't know.
3.
It has to have at least 3 citizen members.
Yeah, the only,
We have 4.
the
We're
only
like
thing
way
that
past.
we're gonna have to
3.
check into is
We're way past 3.
because when they act in that.
Well, you're supposed to be able to pull a corner. Like a popcorn bag.
Yeah, they can. Yep. This is opinions only. I definitely won this one. We had 3 people on for a good year or 2 years. I'll get it corrected, but I think right now we can move forward and stay as status quo.
You don't know where you're going, do you?
status quo mean keeping trustee Pinson out on public works or?
No, take him off. He's got,
Okay.
what do you all have? CBA, you have, well, clips, HR and,
Oversight.
and, no, he's got clips, oversight, and you have HR and finance.
All these other ones that don't section, whatever.
Baloney, you get into it. You get into them. You're into HR.
I'm fine with why my.
I know, but you,
Go to that.
you are in the clips one, you got some rave reviews from that guy tonight. So he likes being on there. Joe, not Joe's fast, but
First one.
Brent Olson, good guy. Holy man. Good guy. All right, so I am gonna, if you guys from the snack board over there, I'm gonna, I would like to move and appoint Joe Jordan to Public Works
Vice chair.
as, no. Wait,
Who's
who's,
the vice chair of Public Works?
no, he can't be. He could be now, but who is vice chair now? It has to be Ushake.
No, I was
I
vice
thought
chair.
Jim was.
Chair for public works.
Oh, Public Works, I'm sorry. You're right, public chair, so you'd be vice chair, yes. So that's only 2, holy mackerel. We got 3 more on the other side. Citizens. So Public Works, it's fine, but I'd like him to remain on planning. And see how this works and go, because we have 4 citizen members. We're way past 3. Okay, so we don't even have to address planning. We can just address Public Works.
You would address planning because you would appoint him as a trustee.
Correct, Mundo. So, let's change this up a bit. So I would like to appoint Joe Jordan as trustee on the planning commission and vice chair of public works.
And then trustee Pincinel would step away from public works.
Jim, and thank you for your service. So, well, you did, you jumped in there.
All 6 weeks.
Yeah, yes, and then he would be off of public works. And then the rest are all citizen stuff, okay? Looking for a motion in a second.
I had water at my house.
That was the motion.
Well, you guys gotta approve it. Oh, motion to approve by Ermeling,
Second.
second by Wyland. Any more in discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Congratulations again. You got your second and third week filled up. That's all on Monday nights. That's awesome. Wow, okay. What do I have left? Finance? I have to get somebody on finance?
A citizen, we need a citizen.
Okay, I'll work on that. Let's see, 53 is done. 54, discussion and action on request from Weston Supply to amend their development agreement 7102 Commerce Drive, project number 202-20248. What's the pleasure?
To amend the development agreement to approve the proposed landscape plan and to adjust the asphalt installation schedule as specified.
Motion by Pincinel. Second by Cronin. Any more on the discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead. God, I can smell pickle all around me. God, you know what it is? It's the, is it the Mexican one or is it the regular one?
Yeah, it's spicy. It's spicy.
No, is it the Mexican one has the green, cilantro, yeah.
So can Weston Supply can still operate without that driveway now, right? The way that it works.
Just currently gravel now, if I'm not mistaken, right, Travis?
Yeah, so it's
gravel right now.
so by making no changes and allowing what was presented in here to pave it in 27, 26, whatever it said.
Well, not him anymore.
It's not done, so.
He knows about
They're
it, but-
operating under a development agreement. So in the development agreement, they paved it.
Right, but in here it says the asphalt would not be installed until the year 27.
They're asking for that.
Right,
We
and
would
that's what
normally
my
do-
motion was, as presented in
To allow,
27,
okay.
to allow it to
Okay.
wait until 27, to not inhibit their potential 11th expansion or however many that is on that site.
Okay. Yeah. We're in discussion right now.
Okay, is that, because it says that you wanted to go with the original development agreement in the packet. My understanding is that's not what Jim's motion was.
Right. Okay, so he knows that.
Gary put that, and that was because that's what the original one was. We did have some, I asked for the development agreement change. They actually brought it up to the two building inspectors. I wanted it in writing because if something does happen, I don't want to be in a situation where someone's asking why that wasn't done. So
It's in the
if
agreement.
you are okay with it being out that far,
Okay.
then I would like an agreement put in place.
Yep.
So that we have something to fall back on.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Yep.
Would it be okay to ask them to pave like
No,
50 feet?
no,
Cause we do require that of,
no, you don't. You don't do it on Ryan off the stump dump.
we have paved,
Nope. Stump dump is dirt right to Ryan Street.
Gary asked about that today.
no, we have a 50-foot paved,
Why is Gary's wife complaining all the
He
time?
wants
about
it
we
longer.
swept it today.
Oh,
He wants it 100 feet, not 50.
oh, okay. Okay. And Kmitchik has 50 feet?
Up to Shorey, I believe it does.
Okay. You just trying to catch me here or what?
No, I was just asking, Sutton Transport, we had them put in that,
So you're just trying to keep the gravel off of the road?
correct, yeah, so as the trucks come in and out, it should stick on that part
Like a
instead of
tracking
in the curb.
Okay.
If not, that's fine, it was just,
Okay.
They are willing to do that.
Okay, okay, good.
I'm guessing that would be
Do
the,
you need to end it? Or,
No, I think I would leave it that way, but
Okay.
leave it as I presented it, but ask
that,
Weston Supply to extend that olive
Okay.
branch to use whatever means necessary, if that means paving 50 feet or not putting truck traffic across there until it's paved or whatever that looks like. or sweeping the road in front of it or whatever, use whatever means necessary to prevent cracking of
Gravel.
debris outside on the road.
So hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, last page, 55. Discussion and interaction on request to amend Arrowhead Estates First Edition Subdivision Development Agreement.
Move to direct staff work with Attorney Eady to draft an amendment to the 2.01.3 of the current development agreement to allow right-of-way landscaping to be completed on each lot prior to occupancy of any home constructed or no later than 10/31/26.
Motion to approve as stated by Pincinel. Second by Wyland. Anything on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 56, discussion and or action on raise or repair order for Aspen Street Apartments located at 4911, 5003, 5007, 5011, 5013, and 5107. Are we missing two?
There are 8 in that complex, but 6 of the 6 identified are under joint ownership,
Oh, who owns the other two?
individual owners.
Oh, and those are okay? Okay. Are those the front, the back, middle?
They're the 6 ones right when you come into Aspen off of Ross Avenue, when you turn north.
The first two?
The first 6. So the
Oh, that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
So the last two are in good
last
repair.
2 up
North to our south.
Okay, I used to live in the last one in 84, 85 for the vendors.
are only a couple of years old then,
They
probably.
were outstanding,
I
yeah.
move to authorize staff to begin the raise or repair orders on 4911, 5003, 5007, 5011, 5013, and 5107 Aspen Street. I also move to authorize staff to begin the raise or repair order process on 5003 and 5007 Aspen Street, as both apartment buildings currently do not have functioning fire alarms.
Motion by Cronin. Second by Pincinel. Any more in the discussion? Yep, Jim?
How did it get this bad? Like, how did we get to this? Like,
Well, that's,
that
Yeah.
mold that's there has been growing since Alexander Fleming found penicillin. Like, this is.
I was shocked. And I know all the cement areas are all the basement, all the storage areas. I didn't like going down there, but it was very clean. It was netted the whole bit. But I gotta say, with that comment you just had, I'm just as shocked that Newport has a complete SHIT hole outside forever. And I am stunned at how long we're making those neighbors live next to that place. And I know we've got officers on it right now, but that's been 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So with that going along on Newport, that doesn't even surprise me with something like this. Because sometimes we don't have the teeth to grab at this stuff, or the previous owner who's now passed away, God rest his soul, was giving us, I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna fix it, and it didn't get fixed. And the shame of it is, we're not getting any complaints from residents, are we?
That's on,
Yes?
Geez, if I would have seen it.
nothing that's been documented.
That's what I mean, because they know that if they cause an alarm, that they're gonna be closed or shut down or whatever. And that's a real shame to have people living in those conditions. That mold is creeping right out.
It's been terrible for many, many years. And we're to that point where, I mean, Marty and Josh both requested us to assist on this. When it comes to commercial properties, we don't have a rental inspection program or anything of that nature. Marty is in there twice a year per statute, okay? So that's where it's like, I mean, we don't have really a lot of involvement in it. Last time I was in any of those buildings was to assist Everest Metro officer with a handicapped individual and actually killing some wasps.
Yeah.
Because maintenance wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's just a shame.
it is a big shame, but this is the process we've got to get to really start to either condemn the structures or force them to repair it.
Yeah.
Okay, Newport is a whole other animal.
Yeah.
That's two totally separate animal. We had her 100% cleaned up 2 years ago.
For 5 or 6
For a
hours.
year.
For a year.
She started.
Last year, she was fine. We have been monitoring this. It was fine last year. It was even fine on its multiple staff inspections earlier this year. It blew up in 3 months.
I am having problems because every time I get my car washed, I have to drive down there and hang a left. That's my issue. I don't want that issue anymore. I want to be able to drive anywhere I want after my car wash, but I don't. I drive past the post office, hang a left on Newport, I gawk at that property. And then I feel so sorry for the 6 or 7 neighbors, and then I just keep driving. And I don't know, that might be a pattern for the rest of my life. It's horrible. So anyway, all right, but anyway, we're on that. I gotta quit talking. We're doing incredible on time, so. No more discussion
I'm kind of with them
on who?
I do the same thing.
What? Oh, I know you do. I know you do. You send me pictures. All right, so with no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carry. I'm sorry, I got windy. 57, discussion and or action on Weston Avenue East Phase, change order number 4, balancing change order.
We approve change order number 4 for the final quantities of the project in the amount of $6,417,687.94.
Motion by Pincinel,
Second.
second by Wyland. That's actually a decrease, correct?
Yep.
Yep, that's pretty cool. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 58, discussion and or action on Weston Avenue West Phase, change order number 1. Move to approve by Zagami, second by Pincinel. Sure. On the discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 59, discussion and or action on Weston Avenue design amendment. Redesign due to removal of multi-use path.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami. Second by Wyland. And no discussion? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. You know, I'm coming right down to the finish line here. I feel like I'm gonna trip, so I'm being really careful on this discussion. 60, discussion and or action on Ross Avenue Metro to Alderson ROW Services contract.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Wyland. Second by Ermeling. On the discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 61, discussion and or action on East Jellic Avenue change order number 2.
Move to approve change order 2 for East Jelinek, County Road X to Mesker on Von Canal, Barbican, Schofield Ave. Construction cost to move the substantial completion date to 11/15/24.
Second.
Motion by Pincinel, second by Wyland. Really? That's really when substantial is gonna be done? Holy crap.
I asked the same,
Wow.
then I call you.
I mean, it looks like Mad Max going through there. Every time I go through there, I kind of go, I could go, like there, 4-wheel drive. Okay, now over and under. Okay. All right, cool. And no more on discussion. Hearing, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 62, discussion and or action on WISDOT Storm Pond Design Services.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami,
Second.
second by Wyland. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. This is how it goes, Joe. Nice and quick. 63, discussion and or action on Wisconsin DOT Storm Pond Municipal Agreements.
Move to approve the agreements with the Village of Rothschild, City of Schofield, the design and submittal grants for the WISDOT stormwater pond.
Motion by Pincinel. Second by Ermeling. Anything on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 64, our favorite subject. Discussion and or action on Alderson Street and Jellinek Avenue roundabout design services.
Move to approve.
By Zagami, second by Cronin. Oh, I'm sorry.
Not second.
Oh, you're not seconding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And around we go. We're looking for a second. I'm pegging.
Second.
Second by Wyland. Woof. Anything on the discussion? Yes.
Yeah, I still don't think it's a good location for a roundabout.
And this is over by, we're talking about Mount Olive?
Yeah.
This is a school thing here? Oh. Oof. I'm just trying to.
The intersection, I don't think the roundabout.
I'm trying to calculate the time I'm gonna save by just drifting through there every time I go through there, in every direction. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, yeah, did we talk about the buses trying to get through that?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I had the same problem in Merrill when all the semi drivers said they'll never get through the roundabout in Merrill. And half of them went through it on Saturday and, oh my gosh, they did. Yeah, go ahead, Shane.
This project being approved,
Mhm.
passed by the board,
I know.
and it came to our committee.
Yep.
And so.
Yeah, I'm just working everybody up.
Okay.
Okay, so hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
How many nays?
2 nay.
Not 3? So just nay? Get it? Nay? Okay, nay. So 5 and then 2 nays. 65, discussion and or action on surveying services for future public works projects.
Move to approve the professional services agreement for professional surveying services in the village of Weston with Riverside Land Surveying in the amount of $14,250.
Motion to approve by Pincinel. Second by Wyland. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Attorney referrals, any attorney referral?
I do.
What?
I do.
Yep.
I've never-
Jim, but you're referring, the CDP. That's good. Oh, no, we wanted that, what do we want? We wanted something to go back.
I'll make those changes and I will send it to Jody to send to their
Okay.
board.
I thought there was something else with the attorney. Okay, go ahead.
So I've actually never done this. Does the whole board have to vote on an attorney referral, or how does that work?
Well, if we feel it's frivolous, I think we could vote and say no.
Okay.
But why don't you go and tell us what you're
I
thinking?
would like to have our attorney review our contract with Myron regarding our landscaping.
I would agree with that.
I'm sick and tired of the can being kicked down.
I would agree with that.
If I remember right, I think they were working for PGA.
Really? Yeah, but PGA was working for Myron.
PGA.
Everybody was working for
Everybody
Myron.
worked
Yeah.
for Myron, you're correct.
Yep, Myron was the one, right? I mean, that's who we talked to on any issues, correct?
Yeah.
There was no.
They were
stand-
notified before the end of our.
Yeah.
Well, before the end of our.
We're not happy.
warranty.
I think if we're gonna go that route, we should bring it up. Because, again, a part of the contract, I request from them to screen that topsoil.
Yeah, this is just currently though, right?
I think all of
And
it.
From the very beginning, they should have screened. There shouldn't have been all that rock out there. It looked like a desert out there. And we had this little sporadic grass growing. So if you're saying that PGA had the landscaping contract and then they subbed it to Revi,
I believe that's.
I say we, no?
PGA had earthwork, Revi was the landscaping.
So
So,
Did you have a
Revi
separate
answered,
contract?
Revi answered to who? Myron?
yes.
Okay, then it's Myron.
It's Myron.
That's Myron.
And we should be reimbursed the $1,800.
Yep, absolutely we
We have
should.
not paid them.
Paid it, yeah.
I don't think we should, ever. Anyway.
Yeah, I've had enough.
Okay. Well, and then to have the gall to wanna come take pictures so they could sell more buildings. Oof. Yeah, man, I would make damn sure to take pictures of that grass. All right, so, yeah, I'm sorry, Michael.
There's another item that came up at Public Works, as far as attorney review, so I was contacting Attorney Yeedy about what power we have for private utility relocations within our right of way. This keeps popping up on our Public Works projects, like right now, Haas is parked on Weston Avenue waiting for Frontier to get, some fiber optic and cable lines removed so that they can finish the last 500 feet of road work. So we currently don't have a mechanism really to enforce Frontier to move their stuff. So I guess we're trying to.
And they just got bought out by who?
I was just gonna say that.
Verizon.
By Verizon. Good luck. That's a mess.
So.
Frontier's incredible.
And it was an issue for Melvin on East Jelnik. They dug next to one of their lines and physically relocated a line for them. So.
Is it on Eastman or on the village?
It's within the village right away.
Then we have a right to ask them to move.
We have,
But they
and,
don't come.
but they don't come, they don't show up. They give us a plan saying, yep, this is how we're gonna move it. We're gonna relocate in April. April comes, nothing happens. May comes, nothing happens. June, July, August, now we're here in October. We finally got some movement, but
These are all in writing?
yeah, I mean, they submit their plan, but we don't.
Have you already discussed that with Attorney Eady?
Preliminarily, but I didn't.
Do you need like some formal direction from the board?
I guess it was more of an FYI. I'm gonna do that unless you don't want me to.
Well, I mean,
we
it should
can
go
do
to,
it right
it
now.
should go to, Jamie and then you guys work together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I would love it if they knew enough what they were doing to do it themselves and then bill back price. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Verizon or Frontier, I don't care.
I mean,
I mean, there's gotta be some sense of urgency here. You know, these clowns are nuts. They are crazy. Okay.
Does someone need to physically, or are we good? Is that good enough for an attorney?
No, go ahead.
That's good.
Make a motion, go.
I think that's good as long as we're just in agreement.
Okay, so we're good? Okay, rock and roll. Administrator referrals? Any? None? None? Remarks from trustees, Jim?
No.
New
board.
welcome aboard, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Any remarks from you? Good job tonight. That's all right.
Very
You
quiet.
said your daughter was here? That was cool. I didn't even know she was your daughter. No, I knew tonight, but one of the parks meetings, I'm going, who is she? She's Joe's daughter. What? I couldn't believe it. Yeah. I have no remarks. I thought the stuff I did hear from the Halloween party was incredible. Absolutely out of control, good stuff. And we had 6 interviews here tonight and a lot of them, including Joe, obviously, a lot of them said some really nice stuff about this village. And I just gotta say ditto to a lot of that because it's really neat. Those questions were good questions. They were pointed, it made you think, it made them think a little bit. And I think we got a lot of pretty neat answers out of a lot of them. It was pretty nice. So that's what I have to say. Next meeting is November 18th, 2024. Budget good to go? Correct, Amundo? Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Steve? Okay.
Yes.
That was nice that Lori came here. Was that Lori?
Yes.
Yeah, or Lisa, excuse me.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Hoosh, did you have something to say?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Whoosh. The happy.
team are you at?
You're gonna put on that out there? You can't even measure that. It just, he can go by hand and spread, he said, they'll put half inch in. I wouldn't like,
Landscaping?
because it just is not, I never heard such a thing. Financial, things are, this should look great and it's not.
This, seriously, that's the paint on this building. That's the proud of how this should look right now. And I think it's disgraceful. I think it's shameful that they dropped the ball in that. I really do.
Yes.
I think it is.
Well, they didn't listen to, honest,
Mm.
I had to, you were at that meeting, how many times I said they gotta screen that up, so.
So moved.
Um,